guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock, which means it's time for a Talk Magic. And today I am here with somebody who's considered one of the top, if not the top mentalists in the whole of the world. He has literally written the book on mentalism, and then he put that book to one side and writ the book again and writ the book again and writ the book again. There are mentalists all over the world that are doing the stuff that this guy has created and lectured and talked about throughout the course of his career. He's also a super nice guy and is just a wonderful human being. I've known him for quite a long time, and I am, of course, talking about the legendary, and I do not use that word lightly, I genuinely mean it, the legendary mentalist himself, Mr. Paul Brook. How are you?
Far too kind. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Craig.
It's all true, though. It is
very,
all
very
true.
kind. You're making me blush. We'll say it's that, and not the whiskey.
Well, the last time I saw you, you didn't have such a
shiny head.
You got a good beard going on there, mate. It's looking good. I like the whole.
Yeah, it's the lockdown beard, but as you can see, it's a bit salt and peppered. It's not. I haven't gone for the Just for Men. I tried the Just for Men, and do you know what? It was all right. It looked nice. It wasn't too black. You know, like in the olden days, you put on a hair color or beard color, and it'd be like jet black, just one color, and that was it. And it kind of hit it. It looked great. It was quite nice, but it was still a bit too dark for me. Plus, your roots start coming out. I got rid of hair, so I didn't have to deal with hair. And I've got a beard now, so I have to deal with hair. So it's one of those things.
I like that you didn't go with the typical mentalist goatee. You know, you've gone kind of more full on, which looks good. Suits you.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I could shave it down into a goatee. I guess I'm just keep a razor with me at all times. I'm ready to go for any mentalism emergencies. You know, a razor, a turtleneck shirt, Carl Sagan style, a turtleneck jumper. I'm ready to go, and this kind of pose. I'm all there. I'm ready to go for any stereotypical mentalism. I think you've just created your new product, the Mentalism Emergency Kit. Razor, turtleneck shirts. I think you just package that stuff out and sell it. Everyone will buy one. I was going to say the razor might be double purpose, but we won't go that dark that quickly.
Well, genuinely, I really appreciate you coming on the channel. You are a very busy person, as both a performer, a creator, a writer. I know you keep yourself really busy. Obviously, you used to live near my neck of the woods in Birmingham, but you've moved. But you're now in the middle of nowhere, aren't you?
That's where I was born. It's Sutton Coldfield, born in Good Hope Hospital, aka No Hope Hospital. I'm now living at the very tip of Scotland, in between literally the very tip on the east. There's a place called Wick, and there's a place called Thurso. In between those places, there's a little tiny village called Watton, and then if you go about a mile out into the sticks, that's where I'm at now. So it's a big shift. Very, very nice, very interesting. Loving the country life out here. Got a fairly substantial house and a plot of land, so it's getting it all up to speed. We moved in February, I think, last February. So it's going to take a while to get it fairly how we want it and modernized, but that's part of the fun of moving in somewhere new and getting it looking how you want it. I mean, this room, I've been trying fairly okay with this room, but still not exactly how I want it yet.
Right. It's always a work in progress, though, isn't it? It's always when you're decorating and you're trying to get somewhere exactly how you want it. It's always, you're never happy. You're always.
I've been renovating. I'm fairly good DIY with my hands, and just in case you didn't know what hands were, I thought I'd bring them into shot.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's helpful sometimes to have those aids. So the property has a couple of stable blocks, and I've converted one into a workshop, so just sort of keep all my tools in and sort of have a nice workbench in there and work on things. And the other one I've turned into a gym that I've neglected. I had all the COVID weight. I thought I'll get rid of this COVID weight that I'm carrying so I can get back into my suits ready for performing again. And it's just gathering dust right now. So that's the extent of my renovations right now. I've done some decorating inside and a few things.
At least you've got the gym ready, so it's there. You've got it. You've got it.
Gym ready. That sounds like something my body should be, like gym ready. But now it's not just me. It's just the building is gym ready. I'm not gym. And I don't know if I want to be gym ready. Because does that mean I'm ready for gym? I don't know. This is getting very weird.
Yeah, this conversation went completely south very, very quickly, which I knew it would, but That's what I love about you.
It's difficult to keep me on topic at the best of times, but it's that non-linear thinking that I have. It helps with my creativity. It doesn't help with other aspects.
It's I'm just going to wind you up and let you go, and we'll see where things end up. So now here's the thing. Most people should know you, but I do get a lot of new people that come onto this channel that might not have heard of Paul Brook before, especially if they're more focused in the world of magic and not particularly mentalism. So before we go any further, what I'd like to do, Paul, if it's okay with you, is just give everyone a frame of reference and talk about who you are, how you got into, I wouldn't say magic, but it's kind of more mentalism, magic stroke mentalism, and just find out more about your journey into the art if we can. So I suppose the question is, what was your origin story? How did you get into magic? Where did it happen? Was it a coin behind the ear moment, or was it something else?
I was bit by a spider, and then I developed this particular set of skills. No, no, not at all. So I started off life as a psychologist and a clinical psychologist, and I set up my own therapy practice in Bourneville, which you probably know very well. It's famous for its chocolate, Cadbury, and whatnot. So I set up my practice there. Everything was going great. Never heard of magic other than what you expect of magic, you know, kids' parties and things. You know, for the general lay population, I mean, we're talking the 1990s now. So in my head, I would assume like any magic would be something for kids. You hadn't had like the cool kind of street magic or any you hadn't had that kind of vibe. So it was this niche idea of kids' parties. You know, you think Uncle Buck, you know, that scene in Uncle Buck, the clown turning up at the door. That's what I had in mind. So one of the elements of my therapy that I was providing was hypnotherapy. And the guy contacted me and he said, I'd like to come and learn hypnotherapy. Would that be okay? Oh yeah, absolutely, no problem. So when he came and sat down, he was a young guy, he started to learn, and I don't know why, I just said to him one day, so what is it that you do? You know, just passing time. And he said, oh, I'm a magician. And I just, in my head, I thought, he doesn't look like a magician. He's like this cool guy. Do you remember Win? I don't know if you ever met Win.
Yes.
Win is from Thailand originally.
Yes.
Yeah, remember?
He's not around. Yeah, he went back to Thailand. Yes.
So yeah, we won't go into we won't delve deep into sort of very provincial stories of magic based on our past. But yeah, Win was there, and I was teaching him hypnosis, and I thought,
can I just ask Paul very quickly? Can I just ask, how old were you at this point?
Oh gosh, I'd say probably my 20s at this point.
Right.
I went through education on an earlier phase than most people, but that just makes me sound geeky, so we won't delve too much into that. So Win was there, or this guy was there. I'm doxing him online. So this guy. This guy was there. He was young. He's cool. He looks like a cool guy, and he said magic. I'm thinking, like, in my head, like, clown. This is my mum. Like, this is my ignorance of magic at the time. This is clown, and this cool guy, and they just weren't marrying up as a perceived thing in my mind. So he said, "Do you want to see a trick?" And of course, you know, I didn't. I just went, yeah, come on, yeah, show me a trick. And what he did was the ultra mental deck, also known as the invisible deck. I don't know if we talk methods or anything on the.
Yeah, we're fine. It's only an audience of magicians.
Okay. So the ultra mental deck, with the invisible deck as the presentation. A lot of people call it the invisible deck, but that's the presentation, not the actual deck. And basically, any card named is the only one reversed in the deck. That's as simple as it gets. So he showed me, and I absolutely lost my. Again, how are we for swearing?
It's my channel. We're cool.
I lost my shiznit. I absolutely lost my shit. I really did. Like, I was like, what the hell? How did you do that? So he did it again and again and again. I literally forced him to do it repeatedly because I thought in my mind, my thought process was, he got lucky. I don't know how he got lucky. So we'll do it again. Or two. I'm like, in my mind, I'm cranking the numbers. I'm like, that's really unlikely. And it's like, by the fourth time, I was like, right, you've got to show me how to do this. And he said, I'll tell you what, I'll teach you magic. You teach me hypnosis. Don't charge me anymore. But from now on, we'll just do a sort of a method exchange. And I said, yeah, okay, I'm up for that. And then he taught me that in the next session how to do the invisible deck. It's not particularly difficult to do, but there is a level of finesse. I think we forget as magicians that we develop a level of tactile dexterity that enables you to push just enough and not too much and not too little. And I developed that as a sort of in a really cack-handed way. And what I did in one of my therapy sessions, to build trust with someone, to build a rapport, as it's known in the business, is really important for therapy. So you'd come for your first session, we'd talk, I'd find out a bit more about you, and the whole point about that is to not just gauge and to map out the person's potential problem and then a potential route through their particular dilemma, but to get a bit better relationship between the two of you, and then that relationship helps push things forward because people are more likely to do things for people that they like, so it's very, very important. I thought to myself, I wonder if I could use this magic trick to help deepen the rapport, because it does take time to build rapport with some people, especially if they've come for, again, I specialize sometimes in psychosexual therapies and counselings. And when someone's come to you and they've had something devastating happen, like a sexual assault, to build trust is very difficult. So I thought that there must be a way to get that state change, to build that trust. And that's when I used the ultra mental deck. I put it on the side. I did all of my fact finding at the very end, just before they were leaving, which was the clever bit, because I thought this would be good because it'll get them to want to come to the next session, because it can sometimes be difficult to take that second step. And I just said, do you know what? This entire time I've been conveying information to you, and that information that I'm conveying to you has gone deep into your mind. It's sitting there, and when it sits there, I can activate it to help you in the best way possible. I've been conveying a playing card to you. Now, you won't be aware of it consciously. It's going to be a subconscious thing. There's a deck of cards. I turn over a different card each day just to keep it fresh for me. I've told you what that card is. You don't know it, but you do know it deep down. Take a deep breath. I said, just tell me what the card is. And they said, well, four of spades or whatever. I took the deck, went through, and of course, the only card turned around was their four of spades. And they absolutely would freak. Wow, oh my God, I can't believe it. And they're so ready and motivated for their next session. Again, it does feel like you're tricking someone, but if you trick someone to help better their own therapy, it's a positive, it's a net positive. So I did this a few times before the next time that I saw the magician that was teaching me. And when he came, I said, do you know what? I've discovered something new. I've discovered a way to use magic, but give it like a spin in psychology. And I was absolutely buzzing. I was like, it's amazing. And he looked at me and he said, yeah, that's about 100 years old. It's called mentalism. And I was like, oh, right, okay. Right. So I felt like such a noob. I was like, oh, okay, it's mentalism, right. So, but then that put me onto the track of mentalism. So I bought the classics, Corinda and things like that. And started reading through. And at parties, I think this is probably, I'd say a lot of people have this kind of thing. When they start learning out, when they go to a party, they want to test that material. They want to push it out there. So I started to branch out, not just using the ultra mental deck in my therapy practice. I started to do it at social occasions, and people started to love it. And then I started coming up with interesting ways to use it in these social occasions. Different to what I was seeing in the books. So again, you got to bear in mind, I was reading very old text at this point, the things that are sort of 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. So the presentations, please place your thumb in your cummerbund and remove the thumb tip. It's like, oh God, I'm gonna have to go and buy a cummerbund now to go with my jeans. So I was updating in my mind. I thought I was updating stuff. Then I'd show my magician friend, and he would then say, "Oh, I think I've seen something similar to that." And eventually, I got off the track of that, and where he said, "I've never seen anything like that before," or you might want to look into that a bit more. I don't know anything about that. So I knew I was getting onto something interesting. But at these social occasions, I was getting these great reactions. To the point where it contrasted like night and day. If you think I would go to my practice and say do say a 10 person, that'd be a 12-hour day. I'd do 10 people in a day, sort of 45, 50 minutes long in a therapy session, telling you about the worst possible things in their life, sometimes very serious and very disturbing thoughts, memories, and whatnot. And then you'd finish a day of doing that, a whole day, and you go, that is just terrible. The world is a terrible place. And then I would starkly contrast that to going out to a party with some friends and then making everyone completely happy, joyous, and go, how the hell did you do that? That was amazing. He just made me think of that playing card. How did he make me think of that? Or he just knew the first person I kissed. How is that possible? So I'd get this contrast where I was either making people very, very happy, or with people in their darkest, deepest times. And I just started to think to myself, wouldn't it be amazing if I could do the happy one as my job and not the sad one as my job? As much as it's a very valuable thing, and I have a little bit of jest in my voice there, but in all seriousness, therapy is, if you need therapy, it is the perfect tool for you in that moment. And there's nothing, I'm not mocking anyone that is going to a therapist or is thinking about therapy. If you're thinking about it, go and give it a go. Hey, it might just change your life. Retrospection, whether that's on your own or with someone else, is a very valuable thing, and people should try it a bit more, because hey, you're only ever with yourself. You're born with yourself and you die with yourself, and everything in between. Make sure you're having a look at yourself along that line. That's all I can say on that. I'm trying to keep myself on track here. So
no, this is fascinating. Please continue.
At one of these parties, a guy came over. It was a sort of a friend of a friend of a friend, and he was a very smart chap. And he just said, "Do you know what?" He said, "I've part of a company." He said, would you do like a part? Would you come to our like Christmas party? Would you come to our? I was like, yeah, of course I would. Yeah, of course I would. So I went and I did an actual gig, my first actual gig. At this point, I'd started experimenting a lot with heavily psychological based forces. Some of it didn't work, some of it, and I was still using playing cards at the time for those. It just said, I think I got a notice to say my internet connection's unstable. I'm just
no, you're looking good at this end.
Perfect. Yeah, so luckily I had things to fall back on, but for those that don't know, I never use playing cards in my mentalism these days, and I can explain that further. We can jump into that further once I've put a lid on this conversation. But I was using playing cards back then, and they saved my ass a number of times. And I did that gig, and then did another gig for another company, again through friends of friends. And then one of these companies said to me, you do these walk around event things. Would you do a stage thing? And I just went, oh yeah, of course I would. Zero, absolute big duck egg over here of any stage experience doing any show, and definitely not getting on stage and talking about mentalism or presenting mentalism. So I said yes. It was for a fairly big engineering firm. Sort of they make big like juggernaut lorries and whatnot, and it was near the NEC actually. That's the National Exhibition Centre for anyone that's not a part of this very private conversation between me and Craig. So I turned up. It was a big crowd. It was 1,000 people. First stage gig, 1,000 people.
Talk about really jumping in feet first. Good grief.
Bricking it, absolutely bricking it. I mean, they're coming over, they're fitting the mic to me. I'm like, what are they doing here? What's all this? Just to give you a bit of an idea, I had a deck of playing cards as one of the things I was taking on stage. No camera. Nothing, 1,000 people, no camera. Okay, can everyone see that 2 of clubs? No. You guys right at the back, you can see this. You can see this. Oh no, it's not just a hand; it's a playing card, and on there is the 2 of clubs. It's just not something you just wouldn't do without additional text so people can see. Well, I went on and I absolutely failed this is no exaggeration. Every single thing failed. Every single thing. Not one thing went right. And I by the end of it, I was a sweaty mess. I'm quite a sort of perspiring person anyway, but I was definitely perspiring at that point. It was like I was a wet sponge. So much so that the guy, it was when you used to get paid in things like checks. You know, the guy met me at the side wing of the stage, and oh god, it almost pains me thinking about this. Well, it does pain me. I'm not even almost. It really does. He gave me. I'm trying to find find a bit of paper. I don't need a bit of paper. He gave me the check. He said, "Well, there's your payment," in a sort of check and envelope, and I held it. And I tried to take it, and he didn't let go. So and I was like, "Oh man, oh he hated it." And eventually he let go. And in that, I just gave him the money back. I said, "Look, I don't know. Look, whatever charity you guys support, please just put it towards that." I said that was terrible. Again, I played it off. Again, I was very big on the idea that what I was doing was psychological. It wasn't magic. You know, I might be using a deck of cards, but it's not magic. It's all to do with the mind. So I just said to him, "Look, I'm really sorry. These things happen. People's minds aren't always predictable." And I gave all that speech. But whatever I said, it didn't matter. You know, he hired me for that event, and for that event to be entertaining, and for that entertainment to fulfill a purpose within that event. And I did not deliver. So it didn't matter. Whatever I said, it wasn't going to cut the mustard. So yeah, that was terrible. After that, I remember driving home and just thinking, I don't think I ever want to do this again.
I was going to say, that's the sort of thing that could actually, like, make you never want to go on stage again. I've spoken to magicians that have gone on stage, absolutely died on their arse, and it stopped them from going on stage ever again.
It taught me it taught me many valuable lessons. The first of all was to not take material that one isn't tested. That was a massive mistake, especially for that size audience. Some audiences, I mean, if it's a parlor show, you can throw in the occasional thing that is sort of new testable material, but you've got stuff to fall back on. You know, if the rest of your show is solid, you can throw the occasional bit in, but not the entire show. The entire show was experiment. Nothing. I don't know, because I'd sat down with a piece of paper and gone, all right, okay, need to do 45 minutes or whatever it was, and just wrote it down. Boop, 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 boop. That's what I'm going to do. And then just thought, well, how am I going to do that? Oh, well, I'll use this and I'll use that. And it just didn't work. There was one of the things that I had relied on just psychological force of a playing card, and the psychological force, it had a bit of magician's choice kind of thrown in. So you could kind of, it was pushing people towards a spectrum, and then the psychological force should have gone. And even that, the person, again, it's not their fault that they were drunk, but they were. They absolutely didn't follow any of my instructions, and they just chose whatever they want, which completely messed up the one thing that I thought out of the entire set that would not be in any way wavering in its result was completely blown off course by one drunk person. And why wouldn't you drink when the company's paying for it and you're putting your blood, sweat and tears to that company every day of the week, and they don't show you probably an iota of happiness? Your bonus is minimal, and then one day they say, we're going to buy the drinks. Why wouldn't you bloody guzzle them down like there's no tomorrow? I completely understand that person. It's not their fault that I went in there with something that they could mess up. I should have gone in there with stuff that couldn't mess up. So even if they were completely pie-eyed, I could still succeed. And that's one of the lessons that I think people need to keep in mind, especially doing corporate work. My main these days, I mean, we're talking probably 18 years ago now. These days, nearly all of my work is trade shows and corporate work. And the vast majority is trade show. I'd say sort of 80%, 20% is corporate work. And you just have to make sure you as you know, I'm not saying it to you, I'm just talking to your viewers generally, but your material has to be bulletproof. Yeah. There is always going to be someone ready to derail you at one of those events, whether they're either too drunk, they're just boisterous. You could be going into an industry that is full of wankers. They're just full of wankers. Some of the industries, and you just go and do it. I was trying to think of a different word, but there's just no word for it. No. Yeah, that's the problem. You go out there, and there'll be people trying to mess you up, not just messing you up on just the fact that they've got something slightly wrong or haven't heard you correctly. They just want you to fail. So It's a difficult one sometimes in the corporate world, but yeah. So that's what got me into it. So anyway, I drove home from that gig and vowed never to touch anything to do with magic and mentalism again. I'm sure I'm not the only one in the world that's thought that.
Yeah.
And I've even deep into my professional career, I've had some bad gigs that were just the wrong. I was not the right type of entertainment for the gig, and even despite telling the booker, I don't think I'm right for this gig, they still insisted. And you get there and you bomb, and it's like a comedian, you know, just the wrong atmosphere. Boom, and you just go down like a lead balloon. So anyway, I finished that gig. I drove back, and I vowed never to do anything again. Started doing therapy. Never stopped it. Just carried on doing the therapy, and then at some point, I thought, I just need to learn from it. It's not something I really enjoy doing it. I took the thing I enjoy doing, I took it into an environment that it could fail in without adequate protection, and I failed. And the problem isn't mentalism. The problem isn't the audience. The problem was my selection of the mentalism for that audience. So I sort of gave myself a little talk and a little pep talk, and so I got back into it and I started doing more walk around stuff. Got quite busy, and at one point I was earning as much as I was doing walk around mentalism as I was doing therapy, which is fairly impressive because therapists are not known for being cheap. I was a private therapist as well. I wasn't sort of on the National Health Service or anything like that. I wasn't sort of on retainer. I had private clients, I just said to myself, I'm going to sell the practice. So I sold the practice, which was lovely, and I just took that big step. And I really thought there'd be times where you think of like the starving artist. You think, I'm not going to be eating next month, or I need to keep some back. I remember the first 2 years, I squirreled things, and I was really like miserly with things. I didn't want to spend any money because I thought, God, it's going to get to like June or whatever, I'm not going to have any gigs, or you get panicky about those things. And I just squirreled it. And then after a while, I just realized there's ways that you can manage your money, manage your business to try and fill those sort of slots throughout your year so that you're as busy as you ever want to be, and earning as much as you want to be, and getting a really good work-life balance.
Yeah, exactly. So when did you? So you sold the practice.
Yes.
When was it that you kind of then took the leap to go back on stage? Because you talked about how you started doing walk around. At what point did you go, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go and do this. Because I know you as a stage performer now, really.
That's a great question. I'm guessing the time frame would be about 2004-ish would be the time that I took the leap, and my sole income since 2004 has been mentalism. That's all I've done since then. And I think for quite a while, it was just close-up mentalism. And when I started going back to stage, it was like baby steps. It was like going to parlor. I'm just thinking back to it because it's a great question. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that. It was like sort of going steps into parlor, doing some things at events, upselling people. You get booked to do a mix and mingle, and you just say to them, hey, look, do you know what? Have you got a little bit of time for me to do one or two things for the entire group? It might just be a small company, 30, 40 people. And you just say, look, I'll get on stage and I'll just do one or two bits for everyone, so that anyone that feels like they've missed out, that they didn't get any one-to-one time, they can see everything. Kind of upsell it that way. And then I just started doing stage. At some point, I just started doing stage stuff again. And when I remember when I started getting into the stage stuff with a lot of corporations, I got shared around. I remember being shared around with a lot of the companies in and around the West Midlands, and then it just started spreading. I did a trade show down at the Olympia down in London. I think it was the Olympia anyway back then. And from there, a lot of people saw me and asked for my details. They'd catch me in between doing a little set for the trade show on the way to somewhere, and they'd say, hey, look, can we get your card, or give me a call? So I got quite a bit of work doing it that way. And I loved it then. The great thing, I'm one of the weird mentalists. There's not many mentalists that like doing, in my experience anyway, from what I know of the mentalists that I know that are workers, not a lot of them like doing the close-up, because
Yeah.
It's hard work. It's hard work to do close up magic or mentalism, to go table to table, or to walk in between groups and interject yourself within that group, and then to make that group like you, and then to entertain that group. It's not just enough to just go in and entertain them, but just to get them on your side. When I say like you, I mean they don't have to care about you personally, but to allow you into their space to then entertain you is difficult. But I quite like that as a challenge. It excites me. You walk up to a big group of guys, and I mean, you're a big guy yourself, so you're probably not intimidated by someone. I can't remember how tall you are. I just remember you being really you always towered over me whenever.
Yeah, 6'4", 6'4".
6'4". I'm 5'11" or something like that. So walking up to some 6 foot guys, and imagine walking up to 5 or 6 groups, all like rugby player looking guys. To me, walking into that group and trying to convince them that they're about to miss out if they start batting me off or whatever, that's great. Because if you win them over, those guys will scream that they will grab. They're the kind of guys you convince them that you're good. They will just literally grab people. They'll find the people in the company. God, you got to see this. Sarah, come look at this. Joe, look at this, and they literally just physically pull them over. But they're great anyway because they're taller.
Yeah.
Anything that they do regarding expressions of amazement, everyone is probably going to see. So, but a lot of mentalists don't like doing close up, or they shy away from it unless the money's. I mean, when the money's high enough, you're whatever you're whatever you are, aren't you? It's full on Pretty Woman scenario, and I think I think, but I do greatly love doing stage as well, because you are creating in the stage show. You are creating some a vignette that everyone can enjoy, and that's your little world, and you can create whatever you want. It could be completely corporate and clinical, or it could be completely dark and mysterious. As long as you find the right key for the company you're working for the presentation, you have pretty much full reign on what's going to happen, and you create that. It's like a little mini story, but you get to affect more people all at once, which is also quite nice.
Yeah.
But so I don't really favor either. I like them both, but for different reasons. Hopefully that answers.
Yeah, it does.
Some of the questions.
Well, a quick question about close-up mentalism.
Yes.
One thing, and I'm not a mentalist. I do mental magic at best. I'm not a mentalist, but I know a lot of mentalists, and I tend to find with mentalism, you have to get people's attention more. With close-up magic, it can be very visual, and they're not really, an ambitious card. It's kind of like, oh, look, it's come to the top again. And you don't really have to focus. But with mentalism, a lot of the time you do have to get them to focus. We've all been to those gigs where it's like, the military bases where it's like people are smashed. And have you ever been tempted to learn an ambitious card and just go, this is just totally inappropriate? Fuck it. I'm just going to go and make a card jump to the top of the deck for the next 2 hours and just get through this thing. Or if you always stuck to your guns and you're like, no, I'm mentalism. That's the way because I know you've got the skills to do close-up magic, but I've never seen you do a magic trick. So
yeah, I've got in fact, I've got a really nice color change that people always ask me to show them at Blackpool. So I'd love to show you, but I don't have deck. I literally don't have own deck cards, so I couldn't show you even if I wanted. But it's a really nice color change. If you see me at any magic convention, just come over and ask me, please. I'll happily show you. You'll have to supply the cards, but I'll do the trick. That's the way that'll work. I've got a gig in my mind. You said an army base. I've got one. I had a horrendous time at RAF Halton, which is like split up. It's got a road that goes in between it. And I went down a wrong road, and there was a barrier up, and I drove down without any clearance signs on my car or anything. And I had a couple of what I assume I don't know what they are, just automatic weapons pointed at me. I got told to get out of the car, and my close-up case. It was a close-up set. My close-up case was on the passenger seat. The close-up case was it's a metal one, and I can only describe it as every time you see a bomb in a movie, where you flip up the latches and like lift. And so they just basically looked through and just went, what's that? Like, they're thinking I've driven onto the base. I'm gonna detonate it or something like that. It's a mad suicide bomber. They don't realize how much I love myself. That's the problem. I never detonate myself. I never do it. Yes, so I ended up having to get out the car, and I was like, I'm entertaining here. Yeah, it was a whole misunderstanding, but it took a while to get them to understand, and it also took a while to get the stain out of my trousers.
I can imagine, yeah.
So anyway, I when I eventually did, I was at the officers' mess there, and when I did get to the officers' mess, of course the officers were fairly well behaved, but there it was a Valentine's event, and the other halves were not so well behaved. You know, they were all over, and they didn't want to play ball with the mentalism. So my advice for people that want to get, first of all, you're going to do one overall trick for that group. You're going to say, let's create a scenario right now. 5 or 6 people, you approach them. You need to say something to get them engaged. I always say start with a question, because a question puts them on the back foot rather than you being on the back foot. Don't have the question be a closed question, and don't ask something like, can I show you some magic? Because that's very easy to say no to. No, leave me alone. You've told them exactly what you are. Let them find out what you are. I don't even put a label on what I do. I let them create that label in their own mind. I see in my mind, I think I'll let them create that definition. I am beyond able to define myself, as all people are. We are no longer, you know, if I said to you, give me the top 20 characteristics of yourself, you could probably do it, but you probably can't do it in a succinct way. Definitely probably not in an entertaining way. I couldn't anyway, not without a lot of forethought. Anyway, so you approach the group, ask them a question. Who's the most imaginative person here in the group? So all of a sudden, all of them are looking where? Not at me. They're all looking at each other, trying to work out who's the most imaginative person. Or they know who it is, and they're all looking at that person. You know, if you ask that question, like 5 of the 6 people look towards one person, and she's like, oh, like that, you're like, okay, she's obviously an artist, or she's known for her artwork. Doesn't matter what they answer. It really doesn't matter. They could say none of us, and I say, okay, well, let's test that. I want to test how your brain works. And what I'm going to go into now is a series of psychological forces that it doesn't matter if they work, if they don't work. So I will then say, I want you all to think of a simple geometric shape, like a square or a rectangle, but don't choose one of those. I've just said them. Do you all have one? Who's thinking of a triangle? Now, chances are people think of triangle. If you're new to magical mentalism, these are just psychological forces, things that are more, when you ask people, they're more likely to occur. John Thompson created a book called Naked Mentalism a number of years back, I believe in the late 2000s, and he actually did the stats on this kind of stuff, giving literally numbers and indexes of what is most likely and how much more likely it is. So I asked them that question, asked them a few more questions, and after each question, I say, okay, put your hand up if you're thinking of a triangle. Hands go up. Great, this is good visuals. You all stood up, hands are going up. It's drawing attention. Drawing attention is really important at a close-up gig. You want people to be thinking, what are they doing? Will I get my turn? So then when you go over, you get more receptive audience from the situation. Once I've done 3 or 4 of these quick psychological things, people still don't know what I'm there about, but they're enjoying it. They've answered questions, and they've had to do things in their own mind. So all of a sudden I've literally forced them to give part of their own self without even knowing it. So they are instantly invested. I then say, who got most correct and who got least correct? I let them work out who that was. The person that got the most correct, I will say, I will do something with you. I want you to think of an interesting drawing. You obviously think in a very conformist way, but I want you now to think in a non-conformist way. Think of any drawing, get it in your mind right now. They do that. I say, who got the least? Whoever that was, and there might be a few, and if there's 2 or 3 that didn't get any, I'll say, okay, choose who wants to be involved with this. I'm going to do the most impressive thing for you because you didn't get any of those correct. You didn't get that feeling like we're connected in any way. I want you to think of absolutely anything. It could be a favorite present that you've ever received. It could be the name of someone, whatever you want it to be, but just allow that to form in your mind right now. And now what I then do is the person does a drawing, the first person, that goes into a peak wallet. I then peak that. And then as I'm peaking that, what I'm actually doing is taking out a card to do my drawing on. I then do a one ahead system with the other person. So I pretend to get theirs first, the impossible one, the one that can't possibly be done, that's never been drawn or written down. I then actually draw the person's image that I've just looked at secretly. I then put that in my sort of breast pocket, just sticking out still. Then I take another card. I then look at this person. I have this person name it. A top tip, if you want to follow this style of routine, is that when you say to the person, "I'll let you have complete freedom, but you must promise to be honest with me later. Do you promise?" And they'll say yes. And then later on, when I say, "What did you draw?" They don't go, "Well, you're the mind reader," or anything like that. You say, "What did you draw?" And if they hesitate, you said you'd be honest. And they instantly, I've never had it fail where someone just doesn't say what they're sorry, not drawn, what they're thinking of.
Yeah.
They instantly just tell you. So they might say a unicorn sitting on a mountain. Okay, that's mental. What would make you even think about that? You're going to freak out in a second. Now I go back to the first person, think of your drawing. I then write down, I never draw, with a close-up, I never actually duplicate the drawing. I write it down in text, because you get a stronger reveal as it's read. You get like a delay reaction. So I actually write down, a unicorn sitting on a mountain, and then blow that and put it in there. I say, "Let's have a look at what you drew." Open up the wallet and take out the image. Whoa, whatever they drew. I don't know what they drew, a fireplace or whatever. Who knows? So they've drawn a fireplace. Whoa, that's crazy. What made you draw a fireplace? I don't know. I tried to think out the box. I couldn't. You're going to both freak out. Now, I pull out both cards. Now, this is where the magician would be like, okay, what you need to do is you need to do a retention move to make sure that the first card that they saw is the second person's card and vice versa, and that they know it. No, you take out both and you literally separate them. That one for that person, this one for this person. And as you talk about them, you say, you could have thought of anything, but you thought of a unicorn on a mountain, and you just wobble it. And in their mind, they associate that that's their card now. So you're getting into their mind in a deeper psychological way. And then you say the same for the other person. Again, you reveal, bang, you've got two strong revelations. One of them that someone could say he's got someone working in the audience. They look over their shoulder when they're doing the drawing. That's how he got the fireplace. But there's no possible way for me to know that that guy was thinking of a unicorn sitting on a mountain. Now, the nice thing about this, and the reason why this works, now that's about a 4 or 5 minute routine, which is just about long enough. If you have to do, 20, 30 groups for an evening, that's about your time. So, but here's the nice thing. From the moment that you step into that group, you are doing the psychological forces. So imagine you've just done the first one. Everyone think of a shape and you say triangle. And then all of a sudden, the MC comes out and announces, "It's time to sit down for our dinners, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to get the proceedings," or whatever it is that they're doing. They still have had something, even for those few seconds. Even if you get to the drawing duplication, you can have the person keep the image and take it out and go back to the table later and reveal that image. They will want you to do that. It's built in a modular way so that you can stop at any point, which is just so key. Otherwise, you don't want to be, again, I don't want to name names. I don't want to be that guy. I've done gigs, as you've done yourself, where they have to hire 5, 6 magicians to work the room because the event's massive. And I've seen people do these really long story-based performances, which is great. If you're doing your own personal theatre show, perfect. Go for it. If you're doing something, a friend's house, perfect. Go for it. But if you're doing a corporate show, you're doing walk around corporate, you've just got to, you can't be there talking for 5 minutes with no payoff. It's just, they're going to go glassy eyed. They won't, even if you got to the end and you told them everything about their lives and it was impossible to know, they'd just be like, "Oh, all right, okay." They'd just be completely glazed over. It's no good.
Yeah, that's so true. I've worked the same sort of events with other magicians and I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen where people just completely switch off. You can see the audience is switching off when they're watching. I mean, that's such valuable advice. It really is.
I'm glad. Thank you. I think the key, if I just break down that advice in my head, the key is that you've got to hit them. You've got to hit them repeatedly. So again, just to break that down for anyone, so they don't have to keep rewinding back. You go in with a question that puts a question amongst themselves, not onto you. So not, do you want to see a trick? Just go in there, whatever. And that will depend on whatever you're performing, the basis of what you're performing, who's the most creative person, who's the most unique person in this group, things like that. That's going to put the focus completely on them. All of a sudden you're just in that group. Then doing something quick and getting impact. Those psychological forces, they work, they're quick. It doesn't even matter if this is the great thing. It doesn't matter if they work or not, because the whole point of them working or not is apparently to try and find out who's the best and who's the worst. And then you use those people to do something amazing. But the chances are, when you do these psychological forces, if you've got 6 people, 4 or 5 of them will be thinking of the same one. So when that happens, people see it as something more than just a statistical anomaly. You know, if in three different sets of questions, four people out of 6 think of the same thing, that is something special to people. It's easy to bat away as people in the know, but when you just try that with people. If you ever see the carrot one, the vegetable, think of a vegetable. Most people will think of carrot. If you watch people do that, they do it on TikTok and YouTube and places like that, and the reaction of people go, "How did you know that?" You know, it's not. Yeah. It seems so trite, as you know, when you've learned like how to do any card at any number or something, you just think, "Oh well, it's just saying carrot." but it has power. It does have power. And that's the big thing between magic and mentalism, I think, is that sometimes magicians, and I mean, mentalists are guilty of this as well, but sometimes magicians can often just look at the sort of the statistical likelihood of the effect rather than thinking about the actual impact that it has. A classic example would be a 50-50. You know, if I flip this coin, Craig, and I get it right, I'm going to guess it's heads, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, you got it." Now the way to make that more interesting, well, the way to make that definite that I can do that would be to do it, say, 10 times in a row. The problem is your entertainment value, as the impossibility increases, your entertainment value comes in and goes down, and you have this cross where the entertainment value is completely going out the window at the same time that your believability is increasing. But if I said to you, I'm going to flip this coin, not that you would ever do this, this is just a thought experiment to understand the nature of giving things their correct credence rather than looking at the statistical likelihood. If I said to you, I'm going to flip this coin, Craig, if it's heads, I'm safe, and if it's tails, I'm going to chop off my little finger. And I really would do it. And I promise you, and I signed something to say I will absolutely do this. You're going to be pretty invested on a finger or not. You know, that's a 1 in 2 chance, but it's significant. You've changed the meaning of it, and I think that's something that mentalists tend to realize a bit more than sort of standard magicians, from my perspective, anyway.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's incredible advice.
I'm not advising anyone chops off their finger or even does that as a presentation, because people probably won't believe that.
Yeah, but just the whole concept of taking a simple 50-50 choice and making it more meaningful for the audience, I think that's sometimes something that mentalists do so much better than magicians. Magicians gloss over a lot of stuff. It's kind of like boom, 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 boom. While mentalists take every little moment and make it impactful. That's something I've noticed. I don't know if that's something that you've seen.
I have. I've worked with a number of acting coaches and directors over the years. I just hired them and paid for their services to teach me, to make me better at my craft, especially after the 1,000 people completely dive bombed for the first ever time. And I remember doing a smash and stab style routine for one of my acting coaches. Her name's Corinne, and she just went, "Oh," I went, "Well, wasn't that impressive? You know, I didn't smash my hand down. I had a 3 out of 4 chance to smash my hand down on one of these bad boys. I didn't, so and she just went, "Well, I just didn't believe you would." And there's a moment I just thought, you didn't believe I would. And then I realized a danger routine requires something very special. It requires the utter belief that if you're going to endanger yourself, that the danger is genuinely going to happen. It's not just there for show. Why would you have to build that believability? And why would a magician, someone who uses their hands as their tools, why would they wreck everything for the best part, not even a headlining effect, but just like a midway through their stage show, just as like a filler gap? I might destroy this hand, and this thing that puts a shelter over my head and food on my table, wine in my glass. I'm just going to risk this just midway through. No, it's not a headline or anything. Just bang. Oh, I didn't do it. Great. It has zero believability. And even the best actors that I've seen do smash and stab, I don't ever really buy into the fact they're actually going to hurt themselves. So then it just becomes a puzzle, you know. They must be. Yeah, there's a way to do it. Don't know how he's done it, but there's a way to do it. So it becomes interesting, especially danger routines, because danger routines are interesting because danger's interesting. You know, that's why James Bond jumps off buildings. That's why if you look at any action film, you know, the figures are through the roof for them, because people love to see people in danger and jeopardy. The problem is, you have to have genuine jeopardy to make it exciting. Well, you know, you're saying James Bond jumping off a building. That's not real, but we know it's not real. But we've bought so much into the story that we are in that reality when you're watching the film.
We're invested, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're completely invested. Whereas I think people just don't get invested with you know, I've not seen. I'd love to be proven wrong. I'd love to see a smash and stab that I actually thought, shit, this guy's going to lose his hand. Not because I would want him to, but I mean, that's what would get me out of my seat. I'd clap my hands till they were raw.
I agree with you again. I totally agree with you. You mentioned earlier on about how you don't use playing cards anymore, and you said you get back to this. I want to go further into your career, but can we just pick up on that very quickly? Because that's, I don't think I've ever interviewed a mentalist that doesn't use playing cards at all. I'm trying to think through. I've interviewed some great ones: Alexander Marsh, Mark Spellman, Pete Turner, Chris Cox, the Steve Della. The list goes on, and they've all used playing cards in one context or another. You don't. That's interesting. Is there? What? How come?
Of us. There's only a few of us. So, and there's nothing against using playing cards in mentalism. Of course, you can, and you can make a very successful living using playing cards in mentalism. I don't disagree with that as a concept. Early on in my career, we'll go back to the early days of my career. I remember being booked for a close-up gig, and I started doing the invisible deck. In fact, it was the invisible deck presentation of the Ultramental deck, and I did it, and great round of applause. And I looked up, and the person that had hired me was stood over at the side, and she was kind of looking at me. And I did a few more things, and then a few more card-based tricks, but still mentalism, you know, riffle force, you know, I keep thinking it's a 6 of diamonds or whatever, things like that. And then the funny thing was, I only used those to throw off the scent that there was a gimmick deck, you know, because if they'd shuffled the cards and whatnot for the glimpse for the riffle peak, then they know that the deck's legit when I pull out switch it out. So I went to the next group, and I looked up again, and she was eyeballing me, and I thought, I don't like the way she's looking, you know. And I just went over and I said, "Everything all right?" And she went, "No." She said, "Bit disappointed." I said, I thought I'd been getting amazing reactions, you know, the people, you know, nice, good reactions. And she said, "Yeah," she said, "a bit disappointed because we've had magicians the past 3 years. I was looking for something different." And I said, "Oh, I'm not a magician." And she went, "Well, you're doing card tricks, aren't you?" And I went, "Well," I said, "they're tricks that use cards, you know, and trying to get around that way." And she didn't have any of that. She didn't buy any of that. She was just like, well, you know, in her mind, she didn't want playing cards. She didn't say any of this when she booked. She just booked a mind reader. I used to go out as a mind reader. And so in her mind, the fact that I pulled out a deck of cards, it was like, it's just, I've done the wrong thing. I've hired the wrong guy. So, I mean, really, that was on her, but she could have asked me what my material was or anything. But it was about a week or two later, I was at another gig, and a very similar story. And I spoke to, you know, saw a lady, and I went over and I went, "Is everything all right?" And she's pretty much the same thing. Wasn't thinking you were going to be doing this because it seemed to be a problem. I then developed a whole routine without using any cards. And here's the funny thing. The vast majority of mentalism doesn't require cards. It's like a vestige of like magicians. Magicians, when I learned card magic, I learned to do some card magic, and it was just easy. It's like, I can just transfer this move. I can do the glide. I'll do this. You know, you just transfer it across. It's nice, easy, transferable skill set. So I did that, thinking it was completely great and easy to do. I thought, well, do I need to use a deck of cards? Why not use these skill sets for a different thing? So I started using billets instead, started using peak wallets, started revealing things. in different and in unusual ways. And I think that's where a bit of my creativity with mentalism started off, is that I was trying to think of interesting ways to reveal the same information. Because really, you know, when you're a mentalist, it's just like, well, I know what you're thinking, so you have to dress it up in different ways, because at the end of the day, it's just like, oh, you could just be there going apple, banana, carrot, you know, just revealing the same thing. You know, you're revealing information over and over again, so you have to come up with interesting ways. So the biggest difference was, I remember the very first time that I did a drawing duplication for someone that wasn't a family member or a friend. I mean, they freaked out, but they just went, oh, you know, you must have seen it somehow, because, you know, they know that you're cheating somehow. And this person absolutely freaked, better than any card trick that I'd ever done, better than any of them, like better than any trick I'd ever done. And it felt great, you know. Obviously, when we get a great reaction, it feels amazing. But when I went out, it was literally the first time, and it was just such a contrast. I thought, this is new material. Bang, straight away, you know, hit me in the face, let alone hit them in the face. So then I started using the drawing duplication, and then introducing similar mentalism things, and I soon realized that the response that I could get. I'm not saying everyone can get this response. You know, if you think, if you can imagine like a fresh-faced 16-year-old heading out into the world trying to convince people they can read subtle body cues or whatever. Now, that's what I claimed I was doing, because, and still claim that I do sometimes. I don't tend to claim anything anymore, but if people really press me, I do sort of lean on that, just because that's my past. You know, that's my academic life is in the realms of psychology. So it makes sense. If someone tries to catch me out on it, good luck. I know a lot about this. Whereas a 16-year-old trying to convince people they've built up subtle skills of persuasion and body language, it's going to be a hard sell. But I soon realized that with the tools of what's known as pure mentalism, I guess, I was able to get very strong reactions, and stronger than anything I was able to achieve with playing cards. I guess the big downside for a mentalist is that if you pull out a deck of cards, there tends to be only a few situations that lay people perceive playing cards in. A gambling scenario,
yeah,
a game, you know, like just a friendly game of cards of sort of something, you know, or magic. I've yet to think. I can't think of another one. There might be another one. If I take out a deck of cards and do the most amazing thing in the world, they can reference their own index in their mind of playing cards, and they go, was it gambling? No. Was I playing a card game with him? No. That leaves, oh, it must have been magic. You know, it just, not saying everyone thinks that way. It just opens up. It's a very easy route to go down. There's not much mental acuity required to get to the simple fact of, it must have somehow been a card trick. I remember speaking to Colin McLeod about this many years ago, because we had this big debate going on about cards. And there's two things. First of all, he said, you know, if they say, oh, it's just a card trick, you can always come back and say, oh, what a great, it's the world's best card trick, though, or something like that. So you can recategorize it, reframe it. But he also, I remember he said to me, he said, but if you could do anything, if you could really read minds or influence people, wouldn't you go and gamble and earn all of this money, you know, at casinos? And I was like, that's a good, fair point. Second question I'd have then is, why are you here entertaining me instead of sitting on your super yacht, drinking margaritas with the hot chick at your side? By hot chick, I just mean like, you know, a KFC bucket.
Of course, yeah.
Some hot chick, that Zinger burger. Married man. She might hear me. I might have to abandon really quick, guys. Might have to run. It's always up for debate. It's a great point, and I'm always willing to have that debate with people. Another thing I say to people is that if I ask someone to draw anything, that's one in an infinite world of things that they can think of. If I do a card trick with them, say the Ultra Mental deck, that's a 1 in 52. So I know there are ways. It's as I said earlier, stat crunching like that's a bit because it's the meaning you give to it. Yeah. But it's far easier. I mean, if I say to someone, again, this is a top tip. I'm going to give you another top tip, guys. If you are getting someone to draw something in a drawing duplication, don't just say, just think of anything. make it something relevant. Say to them something like, Craig, I want you to draw the very first gift that you remember receiving as a child. Now, instantly, that's when you reveal that. That's not just I thought of anything and I looked around. What you get at corporate events like is this, and then you end up drawing a bottle of wine or a glass or a table, you know, because they're literally looking for inspiration. If they draw, then say, I don't know, one of those yellow teapots that you used to get as a kid back in the sort of 70s and 80s. If they drew one, if you draw that and that was their toy, there's no way you could know that. And it's not just that, it's emotionally connected to them. What's the first thing they're going to go and tell their mom? Oh, we saw a mind reading. But he knew that I had that yellow tea. But you know, there's probably a backstory that goes with that that they're going to tell people about. It becomes way more than just I guessed your picture, which really that's all a drawing duplication ever is that I guessed your picture. But there's ways to give it more importance.
Yeah.
With just a little thought. I mean, your level of modification for that is, what am I going to ask them to draw? You know, if you people doing Christmas parties around this time of year, I want you to think of the present that you wish someone would get you this year that you don't think anyone will. You know, instantly they've got to think about that.
That's great.
I mean, that's going to be great. So now all of a sudden you're Santa. You know, there's no one could know this. You don't even think anyone's got you this. It's not on your Amazon wish list. It's not there. But you're thinking of the double-ended screwdriver.
I love that. I absolutely
love screwdriver. I can't tell from your drawing. Looks like it's vibrating though. Power tool of some kind.
Power tool, definitely a power tool. Amazing. And you are so right. And one thing that I'm noticing from speaking to you, a lot of, and I don't know if you like this when you perform, a lot of mentalists are very dry. They channel their inner Max Maven, and everything's very deadly serious. But you try to make things entertaining as well as mystical, and I think that's important. And you don't see enough people that are into mentalism doing that. A lot of people, at least from my experience, not everyone obviously, but a lot of people that perform mentalism, they are very serious, especially when they're first getting into it and they want to, you know, like delve deep. It's like, right, okay, I have to be serious now. I have to grow my Max Maven Widow's Peak, you know, and then you have people like yourself, Chris Tops, that, you know, that are just completely in the opposite direction. I think it's important to understand it's still entertainment at the end of the day, right?
That's it. That's the key. I do consult with people and mentor people that are trying to break into the world of mentalism but are struggling in whatever way. The material's either not hitting, or they're not feeling the material, or they don't think it's working together. One of the biggest things that I find with people is that it's just not entertaining. And I have them strip down their shows right back and I say, look, what's fun about this? Why do I care about this? It does, you know, people don't have to care about it if they're having a good time. They just have a laugh, you know. People, if I said to you, do you really care about, I don't know, I can't think of it, Jimmy Carr, the comedian, is on stage. Do you really care about what he's saying? Do you care about his political points or anything? No, you just listen to it and you enjoy it because you're enjoying it. And people don't think along the lines of that necessarily all the time when they think about mentalism. They get stuck on the method. And that's the weirdest part, because that's the bit that people don't see. And I'm going to say something uncomfortable to a lot of people, magicians and mentalists. Some people know exactly what you've just done, and they could tell you exactly what you've just done, and they could probably tell everyone. And as soon as you go, they may tell everyone exactly what you've just done. If you have fun with them and if you entertain them, they won't care how it's done. They'll have just had a good time. Like, oh, it was great. Weren't it great? That was amazing. They might not know. That's great. But just assume everyone can work it out. And if you assume that everyone can work it out, or will be able to, or find a video on the internet showing you exactly how that guy just did that, if they've had a good time, they can't take the good time away. That YouTube spoiler video can't take away. They can only take away the method. They can't take away, oh, but what a laugh he was. Wasn't he good? Oh, that was great. You know, they can't take that away. So if you build that in, if you build in your entertainment to make it entertaining and just be fun. If you don't think you're a fun person, that's fine too. be yourself and work out what people like about yourself. There's so many comedians. Just look at some of the comedians you see. Think people like James Acaster. James Acaster is a really nerdy guy. He speaks with a funny voice, and he just plays that to his part, and that becomes part of his character. And he works out phrases that people find funny when he says. He works out things that people enjoy when he says them in the way that he says it. And that's what you need to think about. Don't worry that you're not fun, and definitely don't try and emulate other people. I know it's difficult in the early days. We all emulated people in the early days. That's how you find out where you are, because suddenly you stop doing that bit of the routine, the one that you've learnt the script of, and you keep going through the script all and over and over and over. You just stop doing that because I'm saying my own thing now. I'm doing my own thing. Nah, that's great. Stay there. Focus on that. You're finding yourself. You're finding out your words, and the reason it stays in is because people get a laugh, and also listen to the other people. The amount of funny lines that have gone into my stage shows and into my walk around sets from other people. But sometimes people get a bit of an ego. You say something funny, jokey boy over there from the office, Mr. Wide Lad, he comes over and he goes, Wide Boy, sorry, not Wide Lad. That's it. For people not familiar, that's a bit of like a cheeky Cockney chappy. Yep. He comes out, he's spent his life being the back of the classroom joker. He's the expert at jokes, and you say something that's funny, that's in your set, and he jumps in and says something and everyone else laughs. You better be listening to that. And don't just think, oh, you dick. Just listen and go, God, you know what? That'll probably kill if I say that next time. Or can I set it up so that someone else might say that next time? Is there a way that I can set that up as a joke? And it's just about thinking about those kind of moments. But having fun is the key. It really is. We're in entertainment. We're not in Weird'sville. Well, some people are. I mean, psychics and things like that, they're doing it, and they're not having fun with it. So if you don't want to be fun, be a fake psychic, or as they're also known, a psychic.
Yes, I completely agree with that one as well. 100%. That's a whole other story that we could delve into.
We won't open that can of
worms. I got to ask you about a question that I've discovered very recently really splits mentalists down the middle, and they get very passionate about this, and there's no right or wrong. I've heard very compelling arguments from both sides, but it's something that seems to wind mentalists up, and that is Propless Mentalism. Now, see, there you go. Now, you've just talked about not using playing cards, but you've also in the same breath talked about using billets and using classical mentalism techniques. Where do you land with Propless Mentalism? Because, I remember interviewing Alexander Marsh, and he said, I hate it. It's just guesswork. It's just like, it looks like you're standing in front of a group of people guessing. And then you have people like Pete Turner, who does it incredibly well and has literally written books on it. And he goes, and you watch Pete do it, and it doesn't look like guessing.
Right. It doesn't feel like guessing. So I think that is key. Like, I remember... Mark Elsdon and myself were sat down at one of the Minds conventions, and Propless Mentalism, I think I was doing a lecture there, and my lecture had finished. I did one on trade show. I had to get into the trade show business and what fees to charge and ways that you can perform with the company's name and all of these kind of things. And then I looked at the bill, and there was other Propless, there was a few Propless talks, but everyone was doing this Propless stuff, and people were trying, Paul, can I try something with you? And everyone was trying their own little variations of it. And I kid you not, like, I wasn't trying to, I'm not a horrible guy. If people try and do something with me, I'm the spectator, and then afterwards, I'll critique it afterwards if they ask me to. I don't give them my critiques willy-nilly. If people want to do it, they can ask me if they want to critique, but I will critique it if they ask me, like full hard-on critique, just honest critique, and things weren't hitting, and people were like really bummed out, and or it would work, but it would be so, as you say, like a guessing game. I was just like, oh well, if you want my honest opinion on that, it's that it just did feel like you've guessed. You literally got to the end of all the star signs that I could have been thinking of, and eventually told me the one it was. So like it just felt so guessy. And I sat down with Mark Elsdon, and me and Mark Elsdon were having a conversation about it. And of course, Propless mentalism also includes things like number forces. I use number forces and have released methods with number forces. You know, the number 9 force, for example, 37 force. The number 9 force is not one that can go wrong, though. That is an absolute, it's a mathematical certainty. If someone follows the sequence, for those that don't know it, think of any 2-digit number, add both of those single digits together. For example, if you're thinking of 12, it'd be 1 plus 2. That would be 3. Take that number away from your original number. So it'd be 3 minus 12. And then you're going to be somewhere on the 9 times table. In this example, that would be 9, but it'd be 18, 21. You've got my 27, sorry. Yeah. I've done it for a while, guys. But you will be on the 9 times table. And then if you wanted to, you could just, if you say, have you got a 2-digit number? They say, yeah. You say, add those digits together. And then that will be 9, because the magic of the 9 times table is that every digit in the 9 times table, when you add them together, makes 9, as you probably remember from school, or not. I don't know what people remember from school. So that is a certainty, and you can use that to force things. I've used that in the past. I've been at train stations where people are talking to me, and I've got nothing on me. Well, I mean, I'm wearing clothes, but I've got no effects on me, nothing set up. And I've just looked at the sign in the train station, and they asked me to do something, and I've literally just gone along, and I've gone like, okay, what's the 9th word? Okay, and I do the force on them, and then I say, whatever the word is, you get it in your mind, and then you just tell them the word. You know, obviously you don't just blurt it out. You do something like Banachek's brain game or something like that, where you pluck the words out of their mind seemingly as they think of them. But I mean, that is propless. There is no props involved in that at all. But the kind of propless thing that I think we're talking about, so this is what the parenthesis of everything I'll be talking about propless will be in the parenthesis of things that involve an element of guesswork and multiple outs within that guesswork. Mm-hmm. Me and Mark Alson sat down, and we had a bit of a laugh, not at anyone's expense, but we laughed about this propless mentalism stuff. And then Pete Turner came and sat with us, and he said, "How you doing, lads?" And we shared our thoughts on it. And he said, well, you know, I've been doing a bit of Propless stuff. And he showed us Isabella Star 3 and absolutely slayed us with it, like completely slayed us with it. And I was like, damn, that's good. I was like, I said, do it with Mark. So Pete did it with Mark, slayed Mark, different name being thought of. I was like, damn it, this is interesting. I was like, Pete, how guaranteed is it? And he was like, it's pretty much guaranteed. You only have to guess around the name. So until that point, I was really not on board with the Propless stuff. I still don't include it in my walk around sets. I would advise people to use have the Propless knowledge. If you find a good Propless effect, like Pete's Isabella Star 3, have that. Keep it in your mind. I've got it in my mind right now. And if someone wants to see something, I can crack that out and do it for them, perform for them. But I wouldn't take that to a corporate gig. I mean, I've done it at a corporate gig when they've said, can you do one more thing? And I've literally done all of the close-up stuff I've got with me. And I'll just say, hey, do you know what? Let's try this. This isn't a guarantee, but it's my last one of the night. I'm tired, you know, and you do all that. You know, I'm losing it. I'm losing the powers. I'm losing the powers, man. And I, and then I rock it out there and it gets a great reaction. So I wouldn't recommend Propless for corporate, for anything where you're getting money for. I never invite failure into my performances. Ever since, try failing with 1,000 people on stage the very first time you ever sat on a stage to do some mentalism. You will not want to fail on purpose ever again. You don't want to work it and go, do you know, I can get wrong there. No, because I have the perfect show these days that cannot go wrong, and still sometimes someone will find a really unique way to fuck it up. I don't, you know, out of the blue they'll pull out some way to mess it up. He's like, how did you even get there? The instructions were clear. The props were, everything's clear. How could you get it wrong? Oh, you're drunk. Oh, you've just dropped acid just before. You know, whatever it is, you're a goat. You've come up on stage. You're actually a goat and not a person. Whatever it is, it's something can go wrong. It probably will go wrong. So I tend not to have anything that can go wrong, out of respect for the people paying me. Because at the end of the day, you're there because someone needs your skill set at that event, whatever that event is. And on the set, just by saying that, by the way, just link in. don't sell yourself as a magician. Don't you sell yourself as a mentalist. Nobody needs a magician and nobody needs a mentalist. What they need is someone who's able to entertain, to bring atmosphere, to create an event out of the ongoings that you're doing. That's what people need. And if you sell the service that you're providing, the skills that you're providing, rather than just labeling yourself a magician or a mentalist, because those things are just easily thrown out the window. I've done really big events with clients that if I'd said I was a mind reader, they would have just thought, don't believe in psychics. I'm not that I am a psychic or ever say that I am, but in their mind they'd go, psychic, don't believe it, nah, it's okay. You know, you'd just be passed along. But if you tell someone that, hey, look, I can help you maximize your impact at trade shows, they're going to want to ask a question about that. They're not just going to pass you by. You know, they're going to want to find out more. And then who doesn't want to maximize their impact at trade shows?
Yeah, exactly.
Or wherever, you know. That was just a little side note, sorry.
No, I hope people that are watching this realize just how many golden nuggets of information that you're dropping if they actually pay attention to what you're saying. It's incredible.
Are those nuggets coming out of the KFC bucket?
Absolutely.
On the yacht.
On the yacht with the hot chick, yeah, 100%. I want to talk about you as a creator in a second, but before I do, okay. I just want to bring up one more thought that I had when you were talking there. You talked about how your show, you want it to make sure that it can't possibly go wrong. Where do you fall, or what's your opinion on electronics in mentalism? Because there's more, you know, there's so much going on these days. And I've spoken to a lot of mentalists that describe it as cheating. And then there's other mentalists I've spoken to that like basically their entire stage show is sponsored by Craig Filichetti and Pro Mystic. And it's like, you know, they've got like buzzers and thumpers and remote controls and, you know, all sorts of things.
Come on, walking like the Bionic Man, you know.
Yeah, right. I mean, you know, there's always that concern with electronics that there is a chance it could go wrong. I've, you know, got a friend who went to a stage show. He Pro Mystic Dice was a big part of his thing, and it formed a 15-minute routine. And because of the venue he was in and the stuff that was going on, in the middle of the routine, he couldn't get a reading, and it just completely fell dead. Where are you on electronics?
So I don't use any electronics anymore. I've got a story about that. In the early days, I had everyone that came out, even if you go back to even the Fabrice Deleur clipboards.
I remember that. I used to have one of the Fabrice lottery things. Do you remember those?
Oh, no, I don't remember that.
Yeah, they used to have this little thing. It was basically just like a little clipboard, and it had on there like a lottery thing that they could fill in. And when they did, it used to send you the lottery numbers that they wrote down, which was quite interesting. Back in it, like we're talking about 12 or 13
but that's
years
nice.
ago.
But yeah, same guy. Unless there's lots of them out there. Doing just mentalism electronics. If you have that name, you must be in the mentalism electronic business. It went well for many years, and of course, as newer toys came out, you know, when we buy things in Magic, we've all got drawers full of shit that we never use. You know, there's a reason there's like magic car boot sales and auctions and things like that. It's because you've got to clear it out to get the new toys in. You know, you've got to keep that conveyor belt of nonsense going. The drawer of dead dreams, I think I've called it before. I'd get the new toys, everything would go well. A few little glitches here and there to do with battery life, and you know, you're thinking to yourself, right, especially with the early electronic clipboards, you had to make sure they were on, otherwise one of them auto turned off after something ridiculous. It was supposed to be on indefinitely, but it would turn at like 50 minutes or something, and it would just click off. But you'd have no way of knowing, because if I'm doing a show, sometimes my showcase is on the center of the stage, you know, as soon as people enter the venue. So they're coming in, and that's just there. And I'm thinking to myself, I've got to get to that. So you have this added stress moment where you think, I've got to go and turn that on just before I get there and make it not look like I'm doing a thing. So everything was going fine. I had an issue once with Equinox, which was a Chris Taylor trick, which is sort of a based on Kurotsuke by Max Maven, where you basically, whenever the black ball came out, the rest were white balls. Whenever the black ball came out, it would trigger off a vibration. That went wrong. I also had the reel ghost, I think it was called. It's like a thread reel that would pull, and a little sticky thing on that you could stick on people's necks and makes them feel like they're getting tapped. So you could do PK touches in a very hands-off way. And then I realized one day, all of them had issues that I got round with performance-wise. So when they went wrong, I kind of backed up and used my experience to go, okay, I'll just do a standard drawing duplication. I'll do a peak there. I'll actually do PK touches. And that's when I realized it with the PK touch one. This thing, it was like you have to have it in a jacket on the back of a chair on stage. So all of a sudden it's like, okay, what's the scene here? Why is that guy's jacket on the back of that chair? So I had to work it into my performance jacket. I'd normally wear a 3-piece suit. Then come out, take my jacket off, put it on the chair, ready to have it. Oh, it was just getting complex. And then I had this thought. Why am I using this thing that can mean I can tap them from a distance? Because when you do PK touches anyway, that's what the audience see. They see you tapping them from a distance. It's mental. It's like magic guilt. Anyway, everything was going fine. I was still on board, but every time I went with an electronic, I had a backup, a physical real-world backup, something from Anima, something from Corinda that would work 100% of the time. The same trick, if it's clipboard and the clipboard doesn't give me a readout, then I'd hand them a clipboard to someone else in the audience and then do a one ahead, a non-mechanical clipboard.
Yeah.
A non-electronic clipboard. And then I do a number of trade shows internationally. One of the ones that I do nearly every year is one that happens in the Sands Expo Center over in Las Vegas. So first of all, always worried that my electronics are going to trigger some kind of questioning from the border control. Always. Not had it yet, but everything is fine. Got into the hotel, charged everything up, ready to go for the performances. On the trade show floor, doing 2 sets every 50 on the hour and every half an hour, so twice an hour. Someone comes on, do a drawing, I'd work it into a product pitch, and then on they go. It's just for a small group of people, just pulling people off the floor. Everything was fine. Got there about an hour beforehand, met the team, went out. The clipboard's not working. Now it's a technological trade show, so I'm drawing. I'm like, I'm not getting any readout. Oh no, is it not charged? The charger's back in the hotel. So I thought, guys, I'm just gonna run over the road back to the hotel. Gotta just do something. And I thought at least I can shove this on charge, grab a standard clipboard, and I can use that clipboard at the stand. I got my clipboard. As I'm going, I'm just testing it continuously in case it just turns on and it saved me having the trip. Then I kid you not, I got out into the foyer just before I left the hotel, and it kicked in, started working again. So I was like, it must have just been a delay starting up. So bang, straight back into the hall. It's not working again. Oh, this is weird. Back out of the hall. It's working. There was literally some field of interference that was stopping it communicating with the receiver. And I was just like, oh, well, that's stuffed it then, because there's 800 vendors here, all with their own technological stuff going on. There's no way I can find the person who it is. And even if I could, what am I going to say? Hey, guys, your presentation with that thing, can you just not do it? Because I've got a clipboard that needs to work. You just can't say that. So in the end, I went back to the hotel room. I grabbed my sort of non-electronic version, and I just did that one. And I realized it got just exactly the same reactions without any stress. I don't have to worry about things running out of batteries. I don't have to worry about people putting a rubber glove up my ass at an airport, asking me why I've got electronical stuff in a clipboard. It just saves all of those moments that that none of us want.
Yeah,
or maybe some of us.
I agree with you. I think, I mean, I've used electronics throughout the years, and I still do actually to a point, but they have gone wrong in the past. And it's just, unless you've got an out, it's not a great situation to be in. So I totally understand where you're coming from.
And if you're using it for one or two things, I've got no problem with that. I've got an idea for a routine that I've always thought would be really cool, which is to have the I can't think what it's called now, the Hugo Shelley 6 Sense. To have the 6 Sense built into the toes of your shoe, and then in your other shoe you have a big magnet built into the toe of that shoe. So you obviously get a pair of shoes like a size too big or whatever, and then go out on stage have one of your shoes put into 5 boxes mixed around, and then you can just literally, as you're walking up to them, your foot will tell you which box it's in. You just get a vibration in the toe with the shoe on.
Right.
Yeah, thanks. I've not done it yet, so I mean it's a work in progress. If you want to try it, guys, just let me know, because it's just a fun thing. I wanted to use them in different ways, because everyone just uses it on their wrist. It's like everyone just automatically goes, "Oh, I shove it on my wrist because I've seen other people do it." It's like, well, let's get creative. Where can you put it? I play around with the idea of putting it in your, having an armband inside, so that you can at least like turn around and like talk to the audience when the hands are up. Then at least you could get something. But my issue is that sometimes with those ones is that the magnetic strength, if someone's got chunky fingers, someone's got sausages for fingers, sometimes that signal doesn't always come through. But if you've got a chunky, big knockoff magnet and it's in the toe of your shoe, so you don't have to worry about it, you're going to be able to pick up the field on that for quite some distance, and even through boxes.
Oh, that's a great idea. That's a really good idea.
Oh, cheers.
And
so yeah, like, I mean, you could do that, and I mean that the likelihood of that going wrong is low, especially with those. I think they're pretty bomb-proof, those, because there's not much going on. It's not like it's sending a drawing; it's just detecting magnetic field, and those devices exist outside of magic to detect magnetic fields in industry and engineering and things like that. So the technologies, I can imagine it's not a new technology that's been created for the mentalism world. It's an appropriated technology that's been modified to make it smaller. So I can imagine that the likelihood of something like that going wrong would be fairly low. But again, kids like their toys. That's the big thing. You go to the dealer hall in Blackpool, and people have got like money burning holes in their pockets. They want to just get the biggest toy. And then you go on like Magic Week the month after, and everyone's clipboards are on there and all this stuff's on there, trying to recoup back their loss, and their wives have said to them, like, "What have you done? Why have you spent 1,700 quid on a clipboard? You do a billet peak, and it doesn't do anything different."
It's so true. I had this discussion with Lloyd Barnes on the podcast I do. Somebody's just brought out a deck of cards, which is £3,000, and what it does is when somebody signs a card, the signature is Bluetoothed over to another device where there's a plotter, and it writes that exact signature onto that card. So you can do like the cleanest card to impossible location, because it creates a duplicate of that card in real time as they sign it, and that's £3,000. I'm like, that's great, but there's a million ways of doing card to impossible location that doesn't require the use of a £3,000 prop. It's
the problem is we've all watched the old 1960s Mission Impossible and all their mental gadgets, and the A-Team and all their mental gadgets. And we all want mental gadgets. Mental gadgets are fun. Not just mentalism, I mean, just crazy gadgets, Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. But the problem is you don't need it a lot of the time. And if you're carrying the backup, just do the backup and get so good at it that people, again, comes down to the method. If you're feeling guilty about the method, be so entertaining that they don't care. Just go, wow, it was a great guy. Be the guy. Try and be the guy that everyone wants to be friends with at a party. Just be a cool guy. Just be a nice guy. You don't have to be a cool dude. You don't have to be Danny Zuko. This is dating me horribly. You don't have to be what's his name? Can't think of his name. Harry Styles.
There you go.
There we go. You don't have to be Harry Styles. There you go. Can we edit in the one where I look like a modern hip,
of course,
trendy person? Thanks. You don't have to be that. You don't have to be like cool like that. You can just be someone that is just fun, interesting. And tell you what, the best thing to do is ask people about themselves, because interested people are interesting. When someone shows interest in you, you find them more interesting. I think that might be a Dale Carnegie thing, isn't it? I think it's Dale Carnegie.
Yeah, and it's very true. It really is. And you've spent the last 10 minutes talking about creativity, and I want to bring into that. I want to talk a little bit about that, because up until this point, we've talked to you about you as a performer and your career as a performer. And obviously we're at a point now where you perform very high profile events, like you said, mainly corporates and trade shows. You're at the peak of your profession. But outside of that, you've also built up an incredible reputation as a creator, an innovator, an author, and a lecturer. And that's been a very separate thing to you as a performer. Now, I know when you're doing trade shows, you're creating custom, bespoke presentations for your clients. But away from that, you've written so many books and released so many products that I know from speaking to mentalists, there's so many mentalists around the world that use the material that you've created and published. So I suppose my first question is, what made you decide to go down that route, Paul? Because a lot of people, they like to hold on to their secrets, and you're a successful performer. You've created your own show. You're doing something very unique. A lot of the routines that you do are your own. It's not something that everyone else does. What made you decide to go, you know what? I'm going to start sharing this information. It's not like you're worried about the money or you needed to pay your mortgage that month. You know, you're a high profile performer. You're not writing these books to, you know, supplement your income, really. Where did that all come from? How did that all come to be?
So that started off, I came up with some ideas that I thought were quite cool. At this point, I joined the British Magical Society. I think you remember there.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, at one point, yeah.
It's changed completely. I was down. In fact, Mark Paul and Pete Turner, we all met up in Birmingham because Mark Paul was doing a lecture there, and that was pretty cool. But it's changed a lot. It's not got all the old guys in. I mean, you used to have Elizabeth Warlock, which is Peter Warlock's daughter. If no one knows about Peter Warlock, if you do any slate move, if you do any slate work, you'll probably be using a Peter Warlock move at some point. I would say. I once annoyed Liz because I imagine we got on fair enough, but I imagine I annoyed her quite more than once. But I remember one time I said something. She said, "Oh well, do you dream of becoming a successful mentalist or something?" I said, "Oh yes." I said, "I'm thinking about moving to Israel because there seems to be a lot of famous Israeli mentalists." She said, "My father wasn't Israeli." She also fell asleep in one of my lectures, but that wasn't uncommon. She just did that to everyone.
Very fierce lady, Birmingham's version of sort of Bobby Bernard, sitting at the front.
I thought you were going to say Queen Latifah for some reason. I don't know why.
And her and Mike made such a great couple as well. You know,
the famous Mike Gansier. Another one. Yeah, it was a good club. I mean, you had excellence in there, like Donald Bevan from Abra. The Abra magazine, and there's loads. Alan Merrill is sadly no longer with us. There's some great guys, some really nice guys. But it was there. I started showing people around. Basically, it was for anyone that's not aware, it is disputedly the oldest organization for magic club in the entire world, older than the Magic Circle. This is all disputed. It gets all very heated, but it's definitely one of the earliest. We can definitely say that. I joined up, some very knowledgeable people there, and I started showing them things. And they go, "Oh, that's good." And when you show a magician something, and you think, "Well, I'm doing this," and you're going to know what I'm doing. This is just in your own head. You think they're going to know what I'm doing, but hopefully they'll like it, you know. And I was doing stuff, and they'd go, "Ooh," and they'd do things like this, "Ooh." And sit back and cross their arms, and you soon realise that what that means is that they ain't got a clue what you've just done, and they go, "Oh, that's very clever. That is, yeah, very clever. Yeah. So, which one did you use?" And they say things like that don't make any sense. I thought, do you know what? I said, "Hey, look, guys," I said, "I'll show you how I did it," like, and just to save them the embarrassment. I'd show them, and they go, "Oh, that's great." So, as I got more connected in magic, I'd show more and more people, and there'd be so many things that people would just go, "That I've got no idea how you did that," or "That's a fantastic application of that," or the biggest compliment that I always find is that people say, "Can I use that? Would you mind if I use that or I did that?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I'd love that." There's nothing more pleasing than thinking of a cool way to do something, and other people then going and using that, because they're going to come up with not just a cool entertainment that's going to spread the entertainment to more and more people, but they might come back and say, "Hey, do you know what? I've been doing this for 4 or 5 months. Check this subtlety out." I know I've done that with so many people. I mean, too many to name, but so that started to happen about this time. I started to to get known in a small group of people for being someone that comes up with these interesting, either out of the box thinking for mentalism, or taking something old or some old principles and combining them in interesting ways. And worked on a few theatre shows and a few TV shows, big ones. One of them, sadly, I definitely can't talk about because I got slapped with an NDA a number of years back for mentioning it, not on a podcast, but just on a little magic interview. I don't know, you might be able to still get that on YouTube. Yeah, so I'm not allowed to talk about it. But yeah, anyway, I got known for that and was asked to do more and more. And then someone just said to me, have you ever thought about releasing it, through magic dealers or, someone like that? And I just thought, oh, I'm not too sure. And then someone suggested releasing it maybe with Keith Bennett. And I just thought, I think I'll release this myself. So that's what I did. That might be a bit of an intro.
Which is very unique, though. It's very unique to do that. Like most people, when they release, especially their early works, they'll go through a dealer. They'll go through an Alakazam, a Murphy's, a Penguin. Keith Bennett was, a big...
I mean, this was... I mean, the first time, actually, we're talking about sort of... When I finally released, people were telling me to release for years and years, and I just didn't do it. And then finally, when someone said you've got to release this, you just got to do it. It was the Brook Test, which is a book test. Very, very. There's a creative name for you. Talking about creativity, and that uses a subtlety, and it's just a subtlety you can apply to nearly any book test or any book. It's pretty cool for that, and I released it. And do you know what? All I did was I bought reams of paper, some card for the cover, and a slide bind, and I just print them off. They're only like 25 pages long, so you get these pamphlets. And I started selling those 25 quid a pop. And the reason I mentioned that is not to say, oh, I was managed to sell 25 pages for 25 quid. It was more of that's what made me realize people valued it, because the monetary value was just there because I'd worked out how much it was costing me to print, to ship them. That included shipping and everything, and but the fact that people were actually buying it, and then people started reviewing it on places like the Magic Cafe, and there's a few other places. There used to be Talk Magic, I think it was called, the forum.
Magic Bunny.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah, it's bringing it all back.
Which is still around, but it's kind of like
really?
a bit. Oh yeah, I logged on there the other day. Magic Bunny's still around, but it's.
Is it alive, or is it just like?
It's alive. It's still a few people chatting back and forth with each other. It's not like it was back in the day. But,
I've just got a picture in my mind of you turning up, looking at it, and it's just like the latest new trick, card warp.
It's not that bad. But, yeah.
Yeah. I basically I didn't ask people. People would just start talking about it on forums, and I set up a secret. I think everyone did at the time, a little secret side to your public profile, which was fine for a while until people in my shows started to go onto my thing, and then they would find it. And then when your password is something like, it's the second letter in the guy that wrote 13 steps, they just type 13 steps in and go, oh, it's an O, or whatever. And they get through to the site. And then all of a sudden they're open up to looking at stuff, which is, that's another debate. Should magicians sell magic to lay people? But do you know what? We were all a lay person some time ago. I'm of the opinion that if they buy something of mine, they'll either buy one thing and never look at it again because they've hoped to buy a magic mind trick and it's not worked, or psychology, and they've got it and they're just like, oh, this is really difficult, you need skill, or this is not what I wanted. So they'll either get rid of it or they'll come in both feet, head first. We can't go both feet and head first, but I guess it's a cannonball. He's going in like a cannonball, and when they go in, they'll buy loads of stuff from me, and then that's it. They'll probably end up being a part-time performer, maybe go pro at some point, or I know one or two guys that have come in through watching me do a show, finding my work separately. I eventually did take that to a separate site, the heknows.co.uk site, and that is just a shop with my own stuff on there, and it's completely separate. So there's no way for the Joe public, unless they really want to find the shop. But if they find the shop, they end up finding a sort of an Aladdin's cave of of mentalism. Like, oh my god, there's like stuff on there for free, so they can sort of test the water. That's the thing I miss about like the old magic shops. You know, I mean, I'm not like when people talk about the magic shops in the 80s. I mean, I wasn't into magic or anything back then, but they say, you know, you just go in and it'd just be like shelves and shelves of things like that. I remember the early days of World Magic Shop when I used to go there quite a bit, and Jim Trainer used to sort me out with old mentalism pamphlets if he was like grabbing up stuff from brick and mortar shops. And but every time I'd go in, there'd be stuff that would catch your eye, and you kind of go, you know, what's that? I mean, do you know what I bought from there? I bought from them years back just because it caught my eye. Never used it professionally. I don't even know where it is. I'm gonna have to dig it out because I love it. It's a Tenyo trick with an Easter Island head, and you cover it over with like a cup, and it's got like 5 gems around it. The person chooses any one, and whichever one they choose, you know, they whittle it down to one completely free choice. When you lift the cup up, the Easter Island head is looking at that one, and it's like never going to take it to a gig, you know, unless you want to give someone with a pacemaker a heart attack potentially. Spoiler alert. But yeah, it's just a little bit of fun. But it's like those kind of stuff, you know. It's a little bit of fun, like those pencil, you know, put your little coloured pencils in a brass tube, and you know the way it screws on tells you what it is. It's like you're never going to use it, you know, the dark environment, but they're just fun, you know, little knickknacks you pick up, and that's what I kind of wanted my shop to be, is that people go on, and if they find it, they have the little taster with the little free bits of mentalism. And if they like it, there's lower priced mentalism that they can enjoy, and it just go up to a range of stuff that is, you know, really only suitable for either professionals or serious hobbyists. But it's at the higher end of the price spectrum as well, because it's a tool, rather than something that's just a secret to give away. So so yeah, that's how I got started in it, and how, you know, I think I've written 30 plus books.
I was about to say, I mean, you've got an insane amount of content that you've created, you know, so many things that you've published. I mean, it's incredible. Where do you get your ideas from? Like, surely, like, at some point the well's going to run dry. Like, because I don't know, like, you just, and I've read some of your books, not all of them, but I've read, because I'm not a mentalist, but I believe as a magician I can learn things from reading about mentalism. So, and I've got a huge library, and I've read many of your books, and one thing that comes across is everything's always just so clever and so different. It's like you see some creators who, I'm not going to name names, and they just rehash the same thing in 15 different ways, and it's basically the same concept that they've just released over and over again and repurposed, whilst everything that you bring out is so completely original and different. How do you approach that creativity process? Because people in magic and mentalism, they want to be creators, they want to be lecturers. We put creators and lecturers on a pedestal. When you first come into magic, it's like, oh wow, I want to be this person. And I think the thing that a lot of people struggle with is how to actually come up with the ideas. Well, that's something that you've got no problem with.
Yeah, first of all, you don't necessarily have to be someone that comes up with ideas. If you're sitting there and you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, do you know what? I've tried so much. I've tried every tip everyone's ever given me, and I just can't come up with it. Do you know what? That's fine. Do you know what I'd recommend if you literally have scraped the barrel and you can't get any creativity out? Find someone's work you like and just always buy their material, because that'll at least could potentially spark something. But at least you've got some good material that you enjoy performing. But as regards to creativity, it's an interesting process. It's not like there's a ABC formula that you can follow. Sometimes it's just seeing something. You know, you see a prop or you see something that's not magical, and you think, oh, there's a magical use for that, and it's a quick connection. Other times it's looking at older things and giving them new life, or again, I'm well read. I think I've got one of the most extensive mentalism libraries in the world. I think because I buy all of the like pamphlets. If you see me at Blackpool, you will see my head in a box, and I'll be flipping through. I was going to say fingering through. I'll be. Don't they call it fingering the thumbs or something when people go through looking for the right thumb tip? It always strikes me as such an interesting phrase. Just fingering the thumbs. So you'll see me going through, and I'm looking for pamphlets. I'm looking for stuff like from the 1950s and 60s. One bloke released, the only pamphlet he ever released. They made 100 in America, and it's found its way to that box in Blackpool, and they only want 50 pence for it. Now I'll read through that, and I might get something. Most of the time, you just get a rehash. It seems things haven't changed so much in the magic creation market, but yeah, sometimes you make these ideas and you get these connections, and then you can come up with a fun different thing or connect two ideas together. There's an idea that I connected, just for anyone that wants to look into this. There's an effect. I'm just thinking of his name. Oh, I can't think of it. For the book is called, it's a pamphlet. It's called 1,000 Monkeys, and it's Doc Dixon. Doc Dixon's 1,000.
Doc Dixon, yeah.
In there, he has a trick. I'm just looking to see if I've got one made up. I don't. Do you remember these things? Where you go boop boop, choose blue.
Oh yeah. You had them at school. Yeah.
Yeah. So even that, look at that reaction. Oh yeah, I had them at school. Like you emphatically joined in there. Like, do you know how difficult it is to get someone to be excited about a magic trick? But if you started a magic trick that used one of those, you'd instantly be on an upper footing. So he's got a trick with one of those where basically when you eventually open it up, even though they have completely free choice, inside you unfold it and it says, you chose that one or whatever. And it's pretty cool. But then I thought, wouldn't it be cool to turn it into some dating, like a little dating finder for someone famous? So I thought, so that's where my mind went with this. I think his one was to do with a date, like to go on a date, to choose someone, you point at someone. I thought, no, let's do someone famous. Your celebrity crush. That's what we're going to do. Your celebrity crush, and you eventually get down and you choose the celebrity crush, but then you open it up. Like, I don't mean just open the thing, but you unfold everything, so it's just a piece of paper again with all the stuff on the one side, and the blank side is just a massive stencil of like George Clooney or someone. That's then I thought, well, okay, well, how would I get about that? Okay, so this is what I'm sort of hopefully giving people a bit of an idea of my process with things. How would I get someone to choose George Clooney? Well, at the start of the routine, I grab my phone, I take it out, and I say, I've got a list of 100 celebrities here. So using digital force bag. And you say, look, what I would normally do, I say, I don't want to embarrass you all, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you to choose a celebrity. I've got a list of 100 here. It doesn't matter if it's boy or girl or whatever. We won't judge you, because if you just choose your favorite celebrity, it could be a bit embarrassing. So they then choose a free choice. They get to George Clooney on digital force bag. They say, okay, whatever celebrity you're thinking of, we're going to see if you would be a match with them in the time-honored way of the schoolyard. And then you pull out this. So now all of a sudden everyone's like, oh my God, I remember those. And they fold flat so they could go in your pocket. I remember those. So you get the nostalgic value in that. So all of a sudden you're going down to it and everyone's watching and everyone's looking, and you're going to get this moment. And you get to the final moment, they feel like it's there. You've predicted which they would choose inside, but then you open it up. And then it's not just George Clooney's face. It says, I'm sorry, but George Clooney's married. And then so you get like a gag in it as well. So you've got almost like a baby gag. So that came about. It's something I've only tried a handful of times in private. I haven't road tested that. But this is a work in progress in my head. That came about from like a £1 book in the Doc Dixon's 1,000 Monkeys that I picked up in Blackpool. I've went through, and then when people were saying to me at that Blackpool, they were saying, do you know what? What's the best thing you got? Oh, it's this device, it's that device, I spent 800 quid or whatever it was. And I'd be like, do you know what? I've spent £1 and I've got a book where one idea is gold that I think I can turn it into something really special, get a lot of engagement with, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, using one of those things, it's got fun written all over it.
It has, yeah.
And I was like, secondly, it's got another 15 tricks in that book that if I go through, judging by the caliber of that trick, they're probably going to be good as well. So that's not something I could possibly release, because I'd have to get Doc Dixon's permission. But there are other versions using those devices. But I think he's the first one that I think from what I can tell who used it. So unless he gave me the all go ahead, I don't think I'd ever release that. But that doesn't stop you making it up for your own amusement, for your own performance at gigs. That's why you sold it. That's why you sold the book, to teach people. So that's one aspect, one way that you can come at creativity.
What made you decide to pretty much self-publish everything? I mean, you've talked about all the books, because I know you've done some work with Penguin, you've done some work with Murphy's, you've done some work with Alakazam, a lot of their live stuff that you've done, but most of the products and books that you've created, you've released yourself, and you haven't put through something like Murphy's, which is very rare. Like, I create products myself, as you know, and I'm lazy. I can't be asked. I go to a particular production company, and I'm like, here's the idea. Tell me when I'm doing the shoot. You take it from there. I'm done. I'm out, because I'm just kind of lazy with that sort of stuff. But that's how most people approach releasing magic in the magic community. Putting it out through something like Murphy's is going to help it reach a wider audience. But you've built up a huge audience, but you've never gone through Murphy's, even though I know that you get on really well with the people at Murphy's and you've got a really good relationship with them. And I know that you could literally just say, you could pick up the phone and go, hey, Murphy's, I've got a new book coming out next month. Yeah, we'll buy 1 million of them. They'd want your stuff in a heartbeat, and you know it, and I know it. I mean, you've never.
They do ask, and as do the other the magic dealerships, but I think for me, it just started off. I think I just got into it by doing it myself. So I didn't for a long time. For the first 2-3 years, I didn't. I released, I think, in that time, 8 books or so, or so, something like that, maybe 7. The first 4 were, or the first 3, I should say, well, as I mentioned earlier, just printed paper and card and slide binds and stuff. And then at some point, there was a printing company came online called Lulu. Lulu basically is a self-publishing company. You upload the files, you send over the image for the front, and they send you the books. All fairly standard fare, and that saved me having to print. So that got rid of my laziness, because I was like, oh great, I don't have to print them myself. I can just have someone else print them. I have to pay you a bit more, but I have to print them. And I didn't sell through any shops at that point, and I seemed to be doing all right with it. People were contacting me. I was connecting with people. People were reading my ideas, sending me feedback. So I guess I didn't see any potential benefit other than reaching a larger audience. I'm sure I could reach a larger audience by putting my stuff out or sell more. But I mean, the goal for me is, I'm financially stable with my performances, so there's no massive push for me to make my shop, my mentalism shop, or my mentalism releases to be my income. It's the money is secondary to really sharing ideas that I think will help people. When I read a book that has a great mentalism idea that captures my attention, it just sparks a little moment, a creative thing in my mind, and I think, wow, that's amazing. I could do so much with that idea. Yeah. And that's what I want to give to other people, really. And I guess I could serve more people if I did that. But again, they might not. They might just be more magicians and not as much mentalists. Might not be appreciated. I don't know is the true answer. But yeah, if you just send me any of the production companies, if you want to send me a case, $1 million in it, I'll always release the stuff for you. Always.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
So, I can think of people, and not including yourself. Because there's people that release things on the regular that, again, like yourself, like people like Gary Jones and Chris Congreve, mates that are, I know they're doing well on their own financial stuff as a magician. It's just they're doing it because they love the idea. That when Chris Congreve shows me an idea, he's fizzing with excitement. I love it. It's infectious. Well, when Gary Jones shows me something, I know he's worked through the subtleties and he's excited, he's infectious with it, and he's showing people because it's damn cool. He's worked hard at it. They've taken it to somewhere interesting, and they're sharing it with everyone, and then people can take it and even do it more interesting stuff with it. It's just. I think that's where it comes from. It depends. But there are other guys that are just, you see them, they do it. And for a fact that, they're working 9 to 5 in an Asda. That's a supermarket for any international watchers. Oh, it's owned by Walmart, I believe.
It is, yeah. It's a Walmart. There you go.
They're working 9 to 5 in a Walmart. And not that there's anything wrong with that. but they're pretending to be a full-time performer, and they're saying that they've got the inside scoop, and they're releasing tricks all the time. And the reason they're releasing tricks all the time is because, you know, they've got a lower paying job, and it tops up their salary basically. So they have to keep it on the regular. But yeah, there's at least 2 or 3 guys that I know that that if you didn't know, you would absolutely be shocked if I said, oh, they don't perform. You know, they never do gigs, or you know the people the people in your field. If people say to me, who are the top 10 busiest mentalists, I can probably name all of them. I could name 12 probably, and that'd be a good indication of the people in the market, because they're the people that you either perform with when you get booked to perform in a multiple crowd of performers, or they're people that your name comes up to against if you're quoted. If you're quoting someone and they're looking for someone to fill a slot, you know, they'll say, oh, we've had so and so. I always make them substantiate, by the way. Never allow someone to say that they've got a cheaper quote without telling you who it is. It's invaluable information. First of all, you can find out who it is, and if they're coming in ridiculously cheap and undercutting, you can always ring them up and say, hey, come on, you're making this bad for all of us. We can all go out for a bit higher. You know, take the gig, but go in higher next time. But secondly, sometimes they haven't got anyone cheaper. They're just saying it. The amount of times I've caught people out and they go, oh, we've got someone cheaper. Oh, right. How much have they come in cheaper, and who is it? I'll let you know. Here's a great tip. It was from Tom Peterson. He always said, just I think it was, tell me who you've got, because I can tell you if they're actually any good. You know, so that your event's not at risk. So, you know, you put it completely on there, and they'll be like, oh, the event's not at risk. Oh God, I better tell him, because otherwise, I mean, he could be a terrible person, you know. So yeah, there's some, so hopefully, I forgot what the original question was. Putting stuff out. I think I just put things out because I enjoy doing it. I just enjoy doing it. I love people. I love if someone comes up to me and says, oh, I use this that you've done, and it just makes me feel great, because I know they're bringing happiness to other people, happiness to themselves, and if they're a working professional, it's putting money in their pocket, it's helping you put a roof over their head. I mean, what a great career to have if it's possible. I know it's a bit shitty at the moment because of COVID-19, and things are going to slowly get back to normal, but you know, it will bounce back. It has to, otherwise the world will just collapse, financially collapse.
Exactly, it will. I mean, that's cool. That's you know, it's mind-blowing. And you have a new book coming out soon. Like, a little bit of a scoop for everyone here. Your new book is about to go to printers. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? About what the new book's going to be and when it's going to be available?
It should be available at the end of January. It's called It's Your Choice. The effect is pretty simple. There's one of 4 cards, and someone makes a choice. You can not only absolutely predict what that card is using just these cards. There's no extra stuff needed, no extra sort of multiple outs that you have to have. Using just the card, you prove exactly that was the card that you were going to make that person choose, and then you prove it. You prove it without a shadow of a doubt, so that the person will literally go, there's no way I could have chosen anything else. And then you can do it with another person, but with a different outcome. And again, prove it to that same level of quality. It's something I've been working on for many years. In fact, that's an obsession that I've been working on for many years. It takes a very old existing effect, flips it on its head. And when I started performing that many, many years ago, I realized it could be better. And I kept tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it. And every drive home after a gig, I'd be like, do you know what? That could be changed, that little bit. That could be changed, and that could be changed. And I kept doing more and more to it. And I literally became obsessed with it. And to the point where I thought, every time I thought that I couldn't go any further with it, I was able to go further. So the book teaches you how to do, first of all, how to make the prop, how to perform the effect, and then it gives you 26 different, and I mean really different presentations on that effect. From, well, I won't go into it because it would be unfair to the people that have purchased, but it's got a lot of different presentations. And the real key, one of the guys that has been lucky enough to get a pre-release copy has said the real value in this is that the presentations are so out there, so not out there as in you won't be able to use it at your corporate gig, you will, but they're so different. It's not just the standard, it's a psychic presentation or is a psychologist. It's really going into different avenues for entertainment, which will open up each and every reader's creativity, because you'll read it and go, oh, I think I'll change that. I've already, Keith Barry, who's a very famous mentalist in Ireland and also in UK and in America, he has already said he doesn't add anything. He got a pre-release preview copy. We're good friends, worked on a number of shows, TV shows and theatre shows for him. He doesn't add anything to his walk-around set for his corporate stuff. It's the first thing he's added and probably will add for a long time to his own corporate set. So, and he didn't say that because he's my mate. I mean, if you know Keith, you know, he'd just tell me it's a load of bollocks. If he thought it was crap, he definitely wouldn't say something nice. But yeah, so he likes it, but I like it as well. It's just something really important to me, and I actually have. I don't know if I can go to a second screen here. Actually, give me 1 second. Let's try a little something. I might be able to.
Wow, look at that.
These aren't the cards that you get, but this is the corporate version that I use at shows. So that's just one presentational style.
That's great.
So that's just something to but yeah, you can have them also. You know, if you wanted like a little homemade version, you get the little homemade ones as well. So yeah. But yeah, so there we go. I'll flip back to the main screen so that you can see. You're missing my beautiful face. I know it. It's the beard.
That was great.
So yeah. So I can't really go too much into it. It's the kind of thing that if you show a magician, they will know the secret straight away. A layperson will not know the secret. The layperson will not also be able to work out how you're able to influence them, but they will 100% know that you have influenced them, and all the proof is on the card. It just absolutely stays. Again, you might say it's a 1 in 4 chance, but as I mentioned earlier, a 1 in 2 chance can be dynamic and interesting and entertaining enough, given the right presentation. And what this effect is about, it's all about presentation and all the different presentations that you get with it to make it this impactful, strong thing, not just a quick giveaway moment. If you're just looking to do a 1 in 4 thing and you don't care about presenting, then just choose any 1 in 4 thing. There's loads of stuff. Do a brainwave or something. You know, there's loads of things that you can do that are 1 in 4. It's not about the stats. It's about the meaning, the impact, and that's what really makes the difference. Again, think about that drawing duplication. If you do drawing duplication and they can think of anything, it's impressive. But if they think about something that is meaningful, it's mind-blowing. It's the stuff of legends. That's where the difference becomes with the mentalism. It's the presentation base. So hopefully that's a bit of a sneak peek with the book. It's called It's Your Choice. It's 270 pages, so it's not if you're not light on the reading, that's might not be for you, but it does have 160 illustrations, so it's very clear. It's not one of these books you're going to open up and go like, oh, what does he mean? I'm going to put my hand there. I'm going to do the what with the thing, and the moves required are very simple as well. But there are very, very basic moves required.
That's great. And what's the website again that people can get it from? I'm going to put it at the bottom of the screen.
Heknows.co.uk. That's just my general shop. You'll get everything on there. And, you know, go on there, guys. There's about 6. I give away 6 tricks. One of them, Murder in the Matrix. I provide all of the downloadable props for it. And it's a full-on stage routine that uses a Cluedo-based idea. But it's worth it. That one I would definitely dive into. I absolutely love Murder in the Matrix. I almost didn't release it for free, but I thought everyone was having such a crappy time during lockdown, and I decided to release a new free book each month for I think 7 months. So I said to myself, right, I've got 7 months here that I'm looking at to the end of the year until 2022, and I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to release a new book each year. So each month, sorry. And I went through all my old notebooks, and I did all the research. That's the other thing. I'm really big on crediting and making sure that the history of an effect is known. So while that might bore you to pieces, some people, it's not integral to the book. It's just as I'm talking about it, you'll see the little superscript, number 1, number 4, or whatever. And if you go to the back of the book, you'll can look at the citations and references and know exactly who came up with that effect, with that method or whatever, which is really important. You don't get a lot of that these days. Some of the people that just, as you mentioned earlier, take an effect and run with it and just rehash something. They don't even credit the original person. I mean, I've had that happen more times than I can tell. It's normally a mate will call me up and say, have you seen this thing? And they send me a link and I go, oh no, please don't be this thing. And I'll contact the person and say, look, I've seen this. Please tell me that, and I'll name whatever my method is. I say, please tell me it's not this method. And it is. And then if you research, you find out that they bought your book 2 years ago. That's the exact method or whatever. And it's just, there are some shitty people in the magic community. It seems to be a bit of a magnet for people that are not nice.
Mm-hmm. Ain't that the truth? Yeah, really, really. I know exactly where you're coming from. I've done videos on this channel about that. I really have.
Backstabbers. The amount of backstabbing. This is going to get all gossipy if we go into this.
It is true. There's nice people out there. There are genuine.
Golden. Some of my best friends.
Yeah. But then there's the other side of the story as well. If somebody's watching this and they haven't tried any of your work yet, and they want to get an idea of who you are and the type of mentalism you put out, and they want to get a flavor for you, and they've got some money burning a hole in their pocket from Christmas, they want to go onto your site and pick something up, what would you say is the product that they should get now that will allow them to get a good idea of the type of material that they're going to get if they delve deeper into your work?
Everything. No, I'm only kidding.
Fair enough.
First of all, before you spend a single penny with me, get the free stuff and enjoy that first. That'll give you a great idea of who I am. If you don't like it, don't spend money with me. I don't want you buying. Your money is valuable. You know, your money is a direct reflection of an amount of your time that you've given up, time you'll never get back, time that you could be using to spend with your family, your loved ones. That's valuable. Don't just throw it away. Too often people throw this money away at magic or for toys. And toys are good fun. I buy toys. I buy all kinds of weird stuff. I can change probably the screen with a pedal. I've got a set of pedals recently, you know, so I can flick between screens and stuff for lectures. Toys are fun. Don't get me wrong. But don't just waste it. So first of all, have a look. See if I'm the right type of shoe fit for you. If I am, great. I would then say it depends on what you want to get out of it. If you want some stage stuff, I would recommend. I tell you what I would recommend for literally anyone, and it's a downloadable book. It's called At the Table, not At the Table, or I think it's called At the Table. I'll have to check that out. It's either At the Table or Around the Table. I get confused because there's the At the Table lectures, and I can't remember which one it was. I'm pretty sure it's At the Table. And it is if you've liked the information that I've shared about walk around today, it's 3 routines for the strolling banqueting environment. So when you rock up to a table of 12, table of 8, and you're stood there, you've got a circle of people around you or a long table, and it's a way to do a routine for every single one. And there's 3 different types in there, all very different, all very unique, and all requiring very little skill on the part of the performer, so that you can deliver it in an entertaining way. And I give you an entertaining presentation with each one of them as well. And that's very affordable. I think it might be 15 quid, or it might be £20 at the maximum, that one. But 3 fully working routines. I mean, that's pretty good. There's another one people like. They call it the Anniversary Waltz by Doc Eason.
Yeah.
You do that at a wedding. It seems to be a favorite at weddings, but the one I'm about to tell you, it's called Juxtapose. A lot of people have called that the mentalism version of Anniversary Waltz. Basically, the long and short of it is a guy chooses any number, the groom, let's say, we'll say groom and bride just because it's the normal sort of gender normative way of describing these things. So it makes it easier. So we've got the groom, we've got the bride. The groom thinks of a completely random number. There's more presentation to this. The bride will then choose a number she will choose 4 numbers and add them together herself. She does all the work, and then when she names the number that she added up, and the groom names his number, even though they've not mentioned it, and it's you tell them not to pick like a number that means something to them. So if 69 means something to them, don't choose that. Dirty joke there. But if their house is number 17, you say to them before, don't choose 17. Choose something that is really random. So one is randomly thinks of it, one randomly chooses 4 numbers and adds them up, but that's completely free choice. You click your fingers and both of them name the same number every time, doesn't fail, and they get to keep those cards, one with the numbers on, so they can look at that card with all those numbers on, so they can inspect it, so they know nothing's up. And the person that's got their card that they've written a number on to prove it, they get to keep their card. And I say to them, look, keep those cards in your wallet or in your purse. Next time you're separated, just know that even though you're separated by distance, you still have each other in mind. And that just a wedding, that just the blubbering starts. The guy gives you the thumbs up because it's not like he's not going to get lucky on his wedding day anyway. But if it's not in a wedding environment, he'll give you the thumbs up because you've really set him up for the brownie points. And it's a nice routine. So that's called juxtapose. Another one that people like is the pen game. Again, that's an interesting way to use an existing prop that is cluttering up your magic drawer. So there's a lot on there. What I'd say on there, it's like the Argos catalogue. There's so much on there. You just got to go on and thumb through until you go, oh, I like the sound of that. And if you don't know what something is, or it's not clear, or you're not sure if it'll suit you, then just email me. The amount of emails I get from people that say, oh, I've been told about this effect by you, but can it be done with a regular suit, or can it be done with it? They ask the questions that are specific to them, and I'll answer them. I'm not one of those kind of guys. Another one that is fairly well known, that I'm known for, is a book called The Alchemical Tools. That's not so much a book about tricks. That's about how to incorporate many facets of psychology within your performance so that you can make your performances better. I've probably demonstrated some of the techniques here today, but the book is, I think it's 400 pages long, is it? Or it's something like that. So it's a big book. It's a big old book. It does have some effects in there, but it's mainly about how to make more of an impact with your audience and how to get that meaningful connection. And when you start to get more meaning, you will start to get more gigs. If you're looking for more gigs and you're not sure, if you can make more of an impact, if you can make people feel more and be more entertained, you're going to get more gigs. It's just, it's just what will happen. You're going to have to do some work as well. There's behind the scenes work, but when it comes to recommendations, people will be like, yeah, he's great. And if you're new at this, I'm going to throw in another one that I wasn't going to throw in this one. You're already listening now. Everyone's listening now. I've said that. Isn't that interesting? That's a facet of psychology, because you feel like you're getting some secret knowledge, but it is actually secret knowledge. So you're doubly listening now. Next time you finish your gig, and it's a good gig, don't do this when you've had a stinker. When you've just got off the stage with 1,000 people and someone is holding onto the check and not letting go, don't do this. But when you get off the stage, or if you finish that Christmas party and it's a phenomenal success, everything's gone well, and you get to the booker and she pays you if it's happening that way, or she just says, oh, thanks very much, it's been great. Just say, do you know anyone that would like to use this service, or this service would be great for? And they might go, oh, yeah. I say, can I drop you an email on Monday? Let's assume it's a Saturday. Can I drop you an email on Monday? And could you recommend 5 people? And then you're going to get you're going to send that out on Monday. She's expecting it. She responds. Here's some 5 people. Your email that you send out, you can say, oh, let me know, a couple of corporate people or people that have got private parties. Just connect me up with them. Introduce me. Let's say you do 5 people. Let's imagine just one person says yes or wants to know more. You've doubled the amount of gigs from just that one gig. If every gig you do, you get another gig off the back of it. It's simple, but you might find that you get 2 people, or the third person, they're not ready right now, but next year it's Dad's 60th birthday, so they want to get someone special in. So, from that one set of introductions, from one question and then one email, you can pretty much get a lot more work. And it's a really powerful technique. And it's one that people just want to rush out at the end of the gig and get home because they're tired. You've had an adrenaline rush. You've finished the gig. Your adrenaline's crashing, so you're going through an emotional slump. So you don't want to stay around for longer. If you got like a 2.5 hour drive home as well, it's like, oh, I want to get home. But just that one question, you don't have to get the names there and then. They probably won't have them available there and then. But if you just say, can I email you on Monday to potentially connect me up with people that could use this and find it interesting. Worst case scenario, she says on Monday, do you know what? I haven't got anyone that's interested. You say, oh, that's great. Would you mind writing a quick testimonial for me? And then
that's great.
I
and you know
think
what? If you did that at a corporate event and you did it, it would be very easy to do it through LinkedIn and just connect with the person there on LinkedIn and just send them a message via LinkedIn, and then they connect you via LinkedIn, and then you've immediately got access to, rather than having to do it by email.
See, I'm going old school. I don't really do it that much these days because I've got a rolling set of gigs that are self-perpetuating. But because I haven't had to do it for a while, you've seen my method's stuck in the Stone Age now. It's gone all to LinkedIn. Another great one that I used to do, again, it probably wouldn't be, might be a way to modernize this one as well. I think it was Anton Zalman, What he used to do, I don't really send out press packs to people. I think I can send people to a website, that's fine. But what I used to do, if people asked if I had any reviews, what I do, I saved up all of them, and you can send them out like a chunk, like a small, like Yellow Pages amount of testimonials. So everyone at the gig, you just go, have you got 2 words? Just get as many testimonials as possible. They don't have to be from famous people. All your famous quotes go on the first 4 pages and the last 4 pages. And in between, you've got, Bill and Bob, grandpa, auntie, uncle, every gig that you do, you just, get your phone out and just film them all saying it so you've got proof if you needed it. And if you send that to someone, I'll send you my testimonials through. If they get an envelope and it feels like they've got printed off the Yellow Pages and they open it, they'll go through the first few pages, all the famous people, flick through the people. I mean, if they stop, they'll read nice things, and then you get to the end and there's some more famous people. I mean, it pretty much sells your show. I wouldn't do that for everyone, but if you've got a client that you really want to impress, they're probably going to give you $2-3 grand or something for your show. You think this is going to clinch it? It's between a couple of us. Bang, that's when you roll out something like that, a nice little stunt, get them all excited.
That's a great idea.
It's not my idea, so just saying, but it's a good idea.
It's a great idea. It's fantastic.
But there's probably an email way to do that, a massive long page that you just have everyone on, so you just got the first few scrolls, it's like, oh my God, there's loads of people, and then they just all the way through, and then the last section, there's more famous people that they stop on, and that's very doable actually. I'm just thinking about it now. I'd be on my phone going down, and then God, this guy's got loads.
That's great.
But that's early on in careers, and even all through your career, but especially early on. Having a market differentiator is key. Like being able to say that you've worked for a big company takes the risk out of it for the company booking you, because they can look at your website and go, oh, do you know what? He's got even if you just put 2 logos up from the companies you worked for and they're big names, they go, do you know what? He's worked for those. Great, let's take a punt on him, rather than if you don't have any logos on at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, there's a reason why you're at the top of your game. Not just mentalism, but marketing. And I'm very passionate about marketing and business.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's I would be just as happy reading a marketing book as I would be reading a book on magic or mentalism. So, I could spend hours talking about this sort of stuff.
Well, if the people want it, we could offer up a marketing one of the days, and we just dedicate it, instead of my boring backstory and all that nonsense, we could just talk about marketing stuff they can use.
You know what? I think that people would love that. I get so many questions about business on this channel all the time. People are, especially now, maybe because people have been laid off because of COVID or whatever, and they've maybe decided to follow their dreams and become a professional magician or whatever. I think that more than ever before, people are looking to try and find out how to grow a successful business within magic.
I completely agree. So if you're watching this, let Craig know. If you're thinking, yeah, it's something that I'd be interested in, then let Craig know. I was talking to someone recently who I was consulting for, and he was worried that the slump in the market's going to hurt him. And I say, you need to flip that on your head, on its head. You need to think about it in this way. Unfortunately, there's a lot of entertainers who they spend the money and don't save it correctly. They haven't saved up, and they've had to give up doing magic as a business. So what that will create in some areas is a vacuum, a power vacuum for anyone that can be the first iron to strike once the restrictions have like fully lifted and everything. So if you can get your skills up and you want to dip your toe in and you're not too scared to just be a bit brave, you can get out there and you can start, it might be in your local area, wherever you are in the world. There's been 2-3 guys that have been really top of the game, sweeping up all the gigs all the time. It's difficult to get your toe in the door with companies. You go and approach them, you knock the door, you do the great sell, and they go, do you know what? It's wonderful, but we have James. James is our go-to guy. We've got a relationship with him, and you can understand it. But now it might be that James, he didn't save fortuitously enough, or it might not even be that. He might have saved enough for him, but his wife lost her job, and now all of a sudden he's paying for 2, and he can't keep doing gigs, so he's had to take on a stable 9-to-5. Well, now James isn't sweeping up those gigs anymore. So when things return back to normal, you might be able to go and get those gigs. Now, don't rely on James coming and knocking your door and him giving you the work. You're gonna have to go and be ready. But your marketing strategy will be key for that. But COVID is potentially a positive for people entering the market afresh, and even people, existing performers. If you can ride out the wave a bit longer so that you can jump back in when things kick back up, it'll be good. I remember the crash. I don't know if you remember, was it 2009 when the stock market crashed quite bad, the economy crashed, sorry. And I remember then, I was full swing by that point, and things were going well. I had some good clients. Again, some dropped off here and there. They didn't book you for that regular show or that annual show that you've had for the past couple of years, and you think, it's a shame. But then as soon as it came back, they were the first ones booking you again, because you're already there in the list. But if they'd called me up, and if they call up Paul, I'm in the book, they know they can trust me, I'm going to give them a good event, they phone me up to ask if I can do something special for them. They call up and I go, do you know what? I'm not doing it anymore. I'm working down the coal mine. I don't know why I chose coal mine. It's working. It's just working down the coal mine, guys. That's what I'm doing now. So I'm working at the coal mine. They'd go, it's a shame, and they're going to ring around now. So that's open for business. So it's something that you should just bear in mind. It might feel like everything's collapsing around us at the moment, but when the economies go down, when things go down, someone always wins something somewhere, and I think you need to just bear that in mind. If you're thinking, do you know what? Before COVID, I was ready to strike. I was going to get out there. I work in a factory, but I was ready to go part-time as a performer. I was going to jack it in and go full-time. And you think, I'm not going to do it now because of COVID. Well, COVID might have created the opportunity that will allow you to get your foot in the door faster, quicker, and potentially command a higher fee. So, so it's just something to bear in mind. People are feeling a bit lower, a bit down, and they're thinking to themselves, I can't do it. You might be able to. It's definitely something worth trying.
Totally agree. I've seen so many magicians that I've got a lot of respect for that have just left. They've sold all the props. They've just walked away. They've decided to call it a day. It's not just because of money mismanagement, which is obviously a thing. I've spoken to a few magicians that have just said, look, the last year and a half, I've realized I'd actually rather be spending time with my family on a Saturday and Sunday than running around the country going and doing the gigs. And I've decided to change my lifestyle, and that's fair enough. Whatever reason it is, a lot of people have left, and COVID's not going to last forever. And at some point, we're going to have the equivalent of the roaring 1920s, and we're leading into a golden age of entertainment. And the people that are going to be benefiting from that are the people that are positioning themselves right now to take advantage of it.
Well, I'm glad if someone's deciding they want to see their family more, that's always a positive. I mean, if the choice is quit magic or kill my family, I think quitting magic was the right thing to do for him. But you're absolutely correct that there is going to be a boom. There was a boom after 2009. I think it finally came back for me in about 2011. I mean, it was trickling 2010, but 2011 it really boosted back with a vengeance. With like the amount of international gigs that I got booked on because people had the money to spend again, and people wanted to show off to their clients and all kinds of stuff. Tons and tons of reasons, countless reasons. But it's gonna happen. It's gonna be big. So just bear that in mind. It's definitely worth it. And if you're interested in that and you're thinking, oh, this is good information, I wish I had a bit more of this, let Craig know. We can set up another one of these where we're doing it, or even what's probably even more valuable. I don't know if you do this, Craig, but if you were to do something like a live stream version of this, where people could ask specific questions. I mean, you couldn't get any more perfect, because the people watching it will be the ones that want to know. They'll be asking the questions, and we could really give some people some really solid benefit that will help.
I'll do a video on the YouTube channel. I'll find out who is interested. We could very easily stream it over YouTube and Facebook simultaneously at the same time. Absolutely, 100%.
The wonders of technology. Oh,
it's great. It's absolutely amazing. I've got one last question for you, Paul, before we wrap all this up, which is
that is the worst Columbo impression I've ever heard.
Oh yeah. One more thing.
I seem to bring this up in all interviews, right? Just one thing before you get to your one last question. Peter Falk, the actor that played Columbo, right?
I was a huge Columbo fan. You always knew when he was like, one more thing, shit was going to go down. He was going to make you look stupid. He was going to put... Yeah, I love Columbo.
It was revolutionary because it actually showed you... It was the first one that showed you the murder. Most things are like, who did it? Who done it? But that one was an early integrator of they showed you exactly who done it and what happened, and you're watching the lieutenant's journey. But here's the thing: Peter Falk, who played Columbo, Peter Falk's an actor, is a regular person like you and me playing the part of Columbo. Peter Falk had a glass eye, so the real person had a glass eye. Was Peter Falk's glass eye playing the role of a real eye in Columbo, or was it still a glass eye?
I don't think at any point they referenced Columbo having a glass eye.
So it must have been a real eye. That glass eye must have been acting like a real eye.
Yeah. I've never thought of it like that, but you're right.
It just confuses the hell out of people when you say that. So yeah, your last question. One last question. Hopefully
last question. Got it in mind. Very easy. Very, very simple question. What's next? Because you're let me explain. Let me give you a little bit of reference to this. In that you've had an incredible career. Anybody who's watching this, if they could just take one aspect of what you've done and say, "Hey, at the end of my career, I've achieved that," they would be happy. Written 26 books, literally. Produced some of the most popular mentalism of all time, performed at a very high level on stage and close up, and you've got amazing reputation. I mean, you've done it all. You've bought the t-shirt and then you've done it all again. But I also know you're a very ambitious person and you're not planning on stopping anytime soon. Is there anything left on your, I want to say magical bucket list, but is there anything left on your mentalism bucket list? Or is there any goals and aspirations that you want to achieve within this industry over the coming weeks, months, and years that you haven't yet achieved that you would like to see happen?
I think I'd like to lecture more. I've got a few lecture dates coming in 2020, COVID permitting. I'm doing Mind Venture in February, virtually. Not virtually doing it. I mean, I'm doing it virtually. Yeah, it's so confusing. Lecturing, I think it's difficult. I think I never set out with a goal to achieve. When I was first into mentalism, my goal was to earn enough to live. I've got to earn enough to live because I'd left a profession that was doing really well. I had no shortage of clients at my therapy practice, and I'd established myself in a good area. Bourneville is a very affluent area. There's a lot of money there, and I'd got a good name for myself. So I left that, and I had to achieve a certain level of money, and I managed to achieve that and then maintain that. So once that goal was gone, I never really had any aspirations for anything other than keeping food on the table, because I do all sorts. I go out kayaking, mountain climbing, walking, not just sports related stuff, but I love gamers. I was one of the early adopters, streaming on Twitch a number of years back, streaming retro games. Sadly stopped that because my dad died at the same time. I was just getting really popular on that, and I was getting a really good traction on that. And it's just something that I do, once a morning. I'd play for an hour or two, and people just watch, and I just have banter with them. So I do lots of things. So a lot of my goals are things that are not in the mental world, not in the magic world. But I think my main goals are just to keep releasing. I want to keep putting new material out there, good material, because I don't like a lot of the crap material that I see out there, or stuff from people that have never done a gig in their life, or they've done like 2 gigs for the granddad or something like that. And I don't like seeing that stuff. And sadly, the pros know it. You can look at some stuff and either just know it's never been done, you can know it's never worked, or you just know that the person putting it out isn't a worker, isn't a regular worker, and their advice has to be taken with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
So putting out stuff is a way that for me to address that as a real issue. I do see that as a genuine issue within the mentalism industry, because there are a lot of people that spend a lot of money and end up buying tut. So I don't know. It's a really difficult question. I think I always push forward, and my goals. I mean, I've got whiteboards full of goals all around me, but they tend to be things that are to do with the real world rather than performing world. I don't mean that as the performing world isn't real, but we always say it's in the real world. So yeah, there's a mountain that I can now see from my house called Morven. I want to get to the top of that soon. I've been here for like the best part of 10 months, and I've not had a chance to walk up that. So that'd be nice to do at some point. I'm just trying to think of things that are aspirational. What do people normally say on this bit? I want to perform for the Queen, or
I want to get my own touring show. I want to have my own theatre. I want to blah blah blah, win a FISM or something like that.
Okay, so one thing about fame, I don't care about fame. If I ever got famous, it'd be nice, I guess. It'd probably bring in a bit of money, so that'd be nice. I don't really care if people know me. I think that's the problem with not going through with magic dealers as well. People tend to say that I'm a bit like a bit underground. They always say, "Oh, Paul's quite underground?" If they talk about me, or if someone gets me on like a TV set, they say, "Oh, get Paul on. He's a bit underground." And you think, "Oh, well, okay, I'm a bit underground." So that's interesting. But fame's never really bothered me. Again, it'd be nice, but I don't seek it. I know people that absolutely like run after fame. A touring show, yeah, that'd be nice. I did a 27-date tour show with Panasonic once. They took me all around Europe for a launch of a product that little camera popped up and it read who was there. This was early face recognition many years ago, and it would show you the list of programs that you would sort of like. So it's like the TV was reading your mind. So they tied me in with that. So I've been on a tour bus. I've done tours. It was good fun. It's enjoyable. I mean, it's not like touring with a rock band or anything. That'd be fun. I have opened for 2 rock bands before. Do not recommend it. Do not cross that bridge. Do not pass go. Very hard gig. Very hard gig. I have the I've got the images as well. Like they goffed me up for it with the top hat and steampunk and all of that. We won't go there. So yeah, I've done a lot. I've performed for very, very famous people. Michael Dell, the owner of Dell, he's had me to his house, his mansion, flew me out for performing for 20 minutes, half an hour at a time, all expenses paid trips, multiple times. He said that my work's some of the most amazing things he's ever seen. So it's nice. Those things are nice. I don't, it's not. I don't go around going, oh, like boasting about, like Michael Dell said this and what. But that guy is a billionaire. Like he can do anything. He's seen loads of stuff that's amazing, and he thought that was amazing. So you just think, oh, that's nice. That's nice of him to say, because But I don't ever get big headed with any stuff like that. I can't really stand any of that like boasty stuff. So I think some of that, like winning FISM, I did that. I think they do have a mentalism category, don't they? I'm pretty sure they do. But like winning that, it'd be nice. Again, it's like winning any competition. It's like if you enter it, if you win, that's great. You achieved your goal.
Well, here's a question. I know you're not into fame, but you are also an incredible performer. Would you ever consider entering something like BGT? Because these days, ever since Ross Stevens has been involved,
yes, it's got way better.
people are, the sort of feedback I'm hearing from the acts that have been on there is such a positive experience. Oh my God, I absolutely loved it. And I think Russ is a big part to play with that, and he's done a huge service to the magic industry by being a part of that. Would you ever consider, because you would smash it. Your style is so unique and different. I think that they'll love you.
I've been asked, I think every year since the show's been on, they've reached out to me. The 1 year that I nearly went through with it, and this is way pre Mark Spellman, but the 1 year I nearly went through with it, the one thing that I wanted to perform, something I'd created, I'd actually sold the rights to about 2 months earlier to a TV production company, and I sold them exclusive rights for 2 years. Then that's no longer exclusive, so I could do that, but it was very dependent. It was very a time dependent thing, so it was all to do with what was going on in the world at that time, and it all made sense. It's way too long and complex to get into right now, but it would have smashed it. But then here's the thing. Yeah, I'd have to come up with more things, because you have to go into it thinking I have to imagine I'm going to get through right to the finals, do all the shows, and have enough good solid material. Because you see some of them and they get through to the end, not magicians, just act any of the acts, and they're kind of repeating the same act. And I think 1 year Simon Cowell started saying, "What are you just going to do that the same? You're just going to, I think it was acrobats. So you're just going to keep doing that. You're just going to keep acrobating." But I mean, Colin McLeod, he's done well. He got through to the finals, and those things are good. I just don't know what that would give to me. So it wouldn't affect. I don't think it affect my corporate work. It might. It'd make me busier. But I don't know if I want to be busier.
You've just moved to the middle of nowhere. I think that's fairly obvious.
I sit here, I look at it, I've got nothing but fields and forests and mountains around me. And I can sit down, the spare time I get, I can look at my notebooks when I'm not renovating or whatever, look at my notebooks, come up with other ideas, enjoy the scenery, write some stuff down. That suits me, and it's nice. Another thing that I've tried to do for many years now is I live something called active retirement, because I've got this fear that imagine saving up all the good stuff until I'm going to save it all up until I retire. All that good stuff, I'm going to save it up until I retire. And then you get to your retirement age, and you imagine just popping dead. Imagine how annoyed you'd feel. All the depraved things. Deprived, not depraved. Imagine all the things that you deprived yourself. So I came up a number of years ago. So just for people that are aware, when you get established in, say, the trade show industry, in 1 month you could do one trade show, 2 or 3 days, and that'd give you enough money for a month, if not 2 months sometimes, especially when you get really established. So what that means theoretically is if you just want enough to get by, you could do one trade show every 1 or 2 months. So you could do 6 to 10 gigs a year and be sorted. It's one of the sort of positive bits of trade show entertainment. So with that in mind, if you could do that, I don't know what that is in days. Let's assume it's 3 days and you have to do 12 months. That's 36 days of the year, which, I'm doing some quick maths here, but with a calculator. That would mean you would have 329 days spare to do whatever you want, to enjoy your life, your children, your wife, your husband, whatever. You could enjoy it. You could go out on walks when you want. You could sit down and create and think about things that you want. So this is something I call active retirement. Just earning, not just enough. I mean, you want pleasurable stuff, so you might throw an extra couple of gigs here or there, but just earning enough and not trying to earn a big wedge of money just because someone told you, it's cool to be a millionaire. It's nice to have £1 million. It is, but do you need it? What would you need? What do you need £1 million for? You'd probably buy off your house. Once you bought off your house, you'd buy off your car, you buy off all the stuff you want, get it all however you want it to look. And then you think to yourself, okay, I've still got money left. What are you doing with that money other than living, spending it on food, enjoyable stuff? Yeah. You don't need that much. You just don't need that much. But we're convinced, we're told that we need to be constantly earning. And one of the things one of the reasons people get into the entertainment industry is to escape a job that is continually there and boring and is soul destroying. So the remedy to that is to do enough work to get by and to have luxuries and work out, literally sit down and work out what that is, look at your bills, break it down, then earn that amount. And it's a great way to get a goal each month. If you think to yourself, right, there we go, I need three each month, bang, and it's got to be this amount of money each month. That's a really good key. That's an indicator that you can achieve. It's a achievable goal. It's got a definite number on there. Bang, away you go. And then you're enjoying, you're living, you can do whatever you want then.
That's great. That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, out of everything that you've talked about today, that is probably the biggest, most important piece of advice that anybody could ever hear.
I think it is. I do think it's important. I remember there's a lady called Karina Fenton. I think she's now called Karina Fenton Cullen, actually. But Karina said to me, she's in the West Midlands as well. She's a good friend. And she said, what do you do with your time when you're not doing trade shows? And I just went, I don't know, I just do what I want, really. And she was like, oh, that must be nice. Like, and it was just like, oh, it is nice. And that's one of the, it's the reason that you get into doing entertainment, cuddling with your cats, watching a movie, you have a really down day and you feel really shit and you just think to yourself, oh, I don't want to get out of bed. Well, do you know what? Boom, you don't have to, especially if you're motivated to get those 3 gigs. If it's 3, I'm just saying 3 as an example. If you have 3 gigs and you think, I've got to get 3 gigs at 500 quid a pop and that'll get me through the month, bang. Okay, let's go and hit those. Once you've hit them, the rest of the month, easy street.
Exactly.
Chillax, work on your act if you want to. It doesn't mean you have to don't do magic. You can start enjoying magic in a fun, entertaining way, like when you probably first started getting into magic, instead of the drudge it can become sometimes.
That's
especially
so
if you're not
true.
having fun.
It's very true. It's very true. And I think more full-time pros need to hear that, because I see so many full-time pros that are just going through the motions, and you see they're doing the same thing. They're not deviating. They're not adding anything new. They're not playing with their audience, because they're just doing the same thing over and over again. And you can see it's having a negative impact on their reputation and on their audiences.
Yeah, they're gonna burn out. They're just gonna burn out. We've all been there. I've not met an entertainer that hasn't had burnout, where they just go, that's it, I don't want to do it anymore. I just don't want to do it anymore. It's become a chore. I don't enjoy it anymore. I did a gig. It's terrible. They were drunk. They were shouting at me. I couldn't get my point across. They grabbed my cards. They grabbed my deck. They grabbed all kinds of stuff. You might not worry about grabbing your deck so much, but
it's an issue I face at every gig. So I understand.
When you've got a big deck, it's hard not to grab.
Exactly. Yeah. And I exactly. Oh my god! I don't think I've done an interview with so many double entendres, and that's just incredible.
There's some that I deliberately didn't laugh at, so that they went under the radar.
Spot the double entendre down below. Let us know in the comments. Paul, this has been an incredible interview. It really has. I'm going to shout out to everybody on my channel. I'd love to do another one of these live on a business conversation. So, let's make that happen. But I want everybody who's watching this to support you. I want everyone who's watching this to, first of all, go check out the website. It's going to be at the bottom again. One more time, give me the website.
It's heknows.co.uk, HEKNOWS.co.uk.
And you can get those free tricks on there and get onto your mailing list.
You don't even have to sign up to the mailing list for it. You can go through. There is a little thing. It will say, like, wait, click here to be on the mailing list. Be on the mailing list. I give away free stuff. I give away, like, money off. I tell people cool things. Like, people like to stay on the mailing list. My sign off, my unsubscribe rate is so low because I just give value. I like to give value, guys. You're gonna be able to get 7 tricks, not just small tricks, like fully fledged books with props and everything included for free. So, like, it's value. It's just value. Just enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Why would you not want to do that? So go onto the website, get all of that, and then buy some of Paul's stuff. It's the new book sounds amazing. Check that out. If you get on the mailing list, I'm sure you'll mail people out when that's available. And
Banachek's writing the foreword for it as well. That's what I forgot to say.
That says it all, really, doesn't it? When you've got Banachek writing the foreword for your book, that just speaks volumes. And are you on Instagram? Can people follow you on Instagram?
I am on Instagram somewhere. I'm on social media. I don't really social media much these days. I put a post up probably every about 6 weeks or so. Again, it fits into my living retirement kind of thing. If I'm on there, I find that if I get my phone, I'm just like boop, 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 and it just takes all my time away. It's like my fingers are vacuum sucking my time away. So I do go on there. I do check social media. If you message me on social media, you will get a response. But yeah, I mean, if you just hit me up on Facebook, that's probably the biggest place that I'm on. And yeah, I am on there, but I don't put up much pictures on Instagram.
There you go.
I think you get lost in it. You get lost in having to take. I used to do it loads. I used to be a social media whore. Like, it would be pictures of everything, pictures at every gig, today's office, here it is, all of that kind of stuff. I used to do it. It was, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. But what I've realised is that I was walking around. I was too busy looking at making the best picture to share with someone else and not experiencing it enough. I mean, when I take a picture now for my social media, I do have that in mind. It's like, this needs to look pretty for everyone because it's going to brighten their day. They're going to scroll through and catch their eye or whatever. But I don't. Yeah, I'm not obsessed. I think that's it. I'm not obsessed with it anymore. I used to be obsessed with it, checking it, posting up all the time, but I'm just not obsessed with it anymore. So I do go on there. You can catch me on there. Don't worry if I don't respond for a few days.
Yep. So you can catch Paul on there or on Facebook, but the best way is to go on the mailing list, go on the website, get those free tricks, and Paul will keep you updated with new stuff and new things and bonus routines and so on and so forth.
You can send a letter as well, or carry a pigeon. They work up here.
Smoke signals, I imagine, would get up to you up there as well, probably, eventually.
Yes.
Paul, this has been incredible. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the channel. Guys, I want you to do me a favour. Leave a comment down below for Paul. Let me know what you think. See if you can spot all the double entendres. Let me know in the comments down below if you'd like to see a live session on business, because I would love that personally, just from my own. If it was just you and me and nobody else just talking about business, that I don't care.
I'm up for it. Shoot me some dates. Oh, by the way, some smart Alex is going to be like, I've counted 69 double entendres.
Yeah, and that was done on purpose.
And you have to count that one in as well.
Yeah, exactly. Leave a comment down below and subscribe to everything that Paul does, and I will be back again soon with another video. But Paul, one more time, thank you very much, my friend.
Cheers, guys. It's been a blast, Craig. It really has.
You're amazing.